We're going to start with the special session. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, 2026. After the special session, we'll come back and start our regular meeting. But first order of business, even for the special session, is our call to order. And my name is Patrice Horseman, and I am the chair and the supervisor for District 1, District number 2.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeronimo Vasquez. I'm supervisor for District 2 and current vice chair.
And District 3.
Tammy Ontiveros, District 3.
And District 4, I know we got a call. Judy, are you on the line?
She is not on.
You didn't bring this. Wait a minute. Is Judy, I'm sorry, we're out now passing gifts up here, but then aren't gifts. Judy, are you on the line?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I do not see Supervisor Begay on the line. She does have the link to the special session, so
Hopefully we'll hear from her. And District number 5, Lena Fowler, are you on the line?
Chair, members of the board, I do not see Supervisor Fowler on the line at this time.
Well, the good news is we've got a quorum. So you got to love that. So we're going to proceed in our board meeting today. And if you do see them coming online, please let me know. Members of the board, we have a request to go into an executive session pursuant to 38-431.03A4 for the purpose and discussion and consultation in order to consider the board's position and instruction regarding a filing of a candidate challenge. With that, I would entertain, and we do have a request by legal counsel to, in fact, go into executive session. With that, I would entertain a motion.
So move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of going into executive session, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. We're going to go upstairs to executive session. In the meantime, members of the public and those that are here, we will return from the executive session. We will then convene into a regular board meeting at 6 o'clock. So we'll go into executive session now. Yes. Supervisor Fowler is with us. Supervisor Fowler, we are about ready to go into executive session. So I'm assuming you will meet us up in executive session. With that, let's go ahead and go up to executive session.
Okay.
I'm filled up. It's great to have you all with us this evening. Today is Tuesday, April 14th, and this is our regular meeting for the Board of Supervisors. We appreciate you joining us. Our first order of business is the call to order. And with that, I'll introduce myself. I'm Patrice Horstman. I'm the chair of the board, and I'm the supervisor for District 1, District 2.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Jeronimo Vasquez. I'm supervisor for District 2 and current vice chair.
And District 3.
Tammy Ontiveros, District 3.
And District 4. Is Judy Begay on the line?
Madam Chair, members of the board, I did speak with her this morning. She had a terrible cold, and so she's not with us today. I'll let you know if she is.
If she does, if she gets on, let us know. And District number 5, is Lena Fowler on the line?
I am present, Madam Chair.
Very good. We have 4 out of 5 supervisors with us, so we are ready to proceed for our board meeting today. And our next order of business is to honor our country. Those that can, let's stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance. All right, our next item on the agenda is call to the public. Members of the community that are here and those that are online, this is a time that you, members of the public, can address questions or concerns or make comments to the governing board. These are items that are not on the agenda. Since they are not on the agenda, the Arizona Open Meeting Law, which puts sunshine on government, would prevent us from discussing items that are not on the agenda. So any comments on call to the public, we can refer, if we need to administration or refer to a further board meeting for discussion with the board. So with that, I'm going to turn this over to the clerk of the Board of Supervisors, Lindsay Daly, to explain how you can join us here and address the board under call to the public. So Lindsay, please.
Thank you, Chair Horstman. At this time, if there's anyone here that would like to provide a comment during the call to the public, we do have comment cards by the door on the table. If you're watching on the YouTube stream, you can email your comment to boardcomments@coconino.az.gov. And we do have one comment card so far, Chair Colleen Mehring. If you'd like to come up to the podium, we will set the clock for 3 minutes. If you can please just state your name for our minutes.
Good morning, or good afternoon, Colleen.
Good afternoon, good evening. Chair, Vice Chair, Supervisors, my name is Colleen Mehring. I'm the Chief People Officer at Northern Arizona Healthcare. And we're very grateful for the time we are committed to being here once a month to share updates about what's happening at Northern Arizona Healthcare and in our region. We appreciate the opportunity to communicate with the public through this meeting and with you all as representatives of your constituents. Today, it is the month of April, which is really important to us because it is Donate Life Month. We help our partners at Donor Network of Arizona educate our communities during this month about the value of organ, eye, and tissue donation. There's about 100,000 people in the United States on waiting lists for organs and tissues to save their lives or greatly improve their quality of life. And it is truly one of our greatest honors and responsibilities and most challenging times at Flagstaff Medical Center to facilitate those life-saving donations and carry out the wishes of our community members who have chosen to donate life at the end of theirs. In 2025, we supported 12 donors. They donated a total of 36 organs, 16 eye donations, and 22 tissue donations. As you can imagine, it's an incredibly emotional event for our families and our care teams when an individual does proceed to organ donation. And I just wanted to tell you about what that looks like. Whenever anyone in one of our hospital who is a donor, one of our hospitals who's a donor, succumbs to injury or illness, we hold an honor walk, and anyone in the hospital, we announce it over the loudspeaker that if you're at the hospital and you hear an announcement that there's a hero in the house, what's happening is all of our colleagues are being invited to line the halls between the patient's room and the operating room. And we stand in silence and honor their family members and their loved ones who come. Sometimes when they're members of a uniformed service, they have honor guards with them. And we try to support families in recognizing this most impactful decision that their loved one made at the end of life. It's an incredibly special event. It's our honor again. And it's also part of how we meet that community need of the 100,000 people who need organs. And so we ask everyone during the month of April to consider donating, registering to be an organ donor so that we can help save lives at the end of ours. So thank you very much for honoring this important topic with us, and we will see you next month.
Thank you very much, and thank you for joining us. Any other call to the public?
At this time, we do not have any more comment cards, but if there's anyone here in the room that didn't get a chance to fill out a comment card that would like to say a comment, you can make your way up to the podium now, and we will provide you 3 minutes to speak. And it looks like, Chair, we do not have anyone else here in the room that wants to comment, and we do not have any comments in our inbox from those online.
All right. Well, then we're going to move forward with the agenda. And we have some very important proclamations to start out our regular board meeting with. Our first proclamation, near and dear to my heart, consideration and possible action to approve a proclamation designating May 7th, 2026 as Law Day here in Coconino County. And with that, Juliana Beebe, is that pronounced correct? Bybee, from Coconino County Superior Court, will introduce the item and will read, and we'll have the Law Day Committee here read the proclamation. So thank you for being with us this evening, and please proceed. Introduce those that you're with, and we'll read the proclamation.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, members of the board. My name is Juliana Bybee, and I'm honored to be here tonight to present the Law Day 2026 proclamation. Law Day is a national observance that recognizes the importance of the rule of law and protecting our rights and ensuring fairness in our communities. I'm pleased to be joined by our court admin team, as well as our court interns, Ryan, Melanie, and Charlie, who will also read and share a portion of the proclamation.
Whereas the Declaration of Independence recognizes that all individuals possess fundamental rights, including life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And whereas the rule of law, as defined by the World Justice Project, refers to a system of self-government in which the government and all individuals are held accountable to a set of fair, publicized, and broadly understood laws that are evenly enforced. And
whereas the rule of law protects the rights necessary for each person to pursue their own happiness, their own vision of the American dream, the belief that hard work can produce a better life, and whereas today, as the rule of law and the American dream face significant challenges, their enduring strength and vitality are enhanced by public education and understanding about our rights and responsibilities, and
whereas the American dream of individual and national prosperity is both dependent upon and critical to political liberty and social equality, and whereas the rule of law ensures that no single person or the government is above the law, and that all persons, regardless of their status, must be treated equally under the law, and that no one will be denied liberty or property without due process. And whereas the rule of law promotes stability, certainty, and opportunity, enabling individuals, families, homeowners, workers, and businesses to pursue economic security and prosperity. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Coconino County Board of Supervisors does hereby proclaim May 7th, 2026 as Law Day. We encourage everyone to consider ways to advance the rule of law and protect their rights, freedoms,
and opportunities that ensure all persons in America have the ability to pursue and fulfill their American dreams throughout the year.
Thank you very much. And thank you for everybody who's read this. Really appreciate this important proclamation. And I know there'll be some events you're going to tell us about, but before we get there, I'm going to ask, is there a motion designating May 7th, 2026 as Law Day here in Coconino County?
So move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 It is unanimous. So thank you. And are there going to be some events you want to tell us about?
Yes.
All right.
In recognition of Law Day, the court is hosting a community event on May 7th, starting at 9:50 on the courthouse lawn. The event will bring together students, local judges, and members of the legal community for educational activities and opportunities to engage and learn about the law. And we do invite the board as well as members of the public to come and enjoy this event with us as well.
Very good. Thank you. And my colleagues, would you like to make some comments about Law Day? All right.
All right, thank you. First off, thank you for the proclamation. Law Day gives us a moment to pause and recognize something that often works quietly in the background: the rule of law and the systems that help our communities functioning fairly and transparently. Here in Coconino County, and especially in District 2, we see every day how important it is for people to understand their rights, to have access to justice, and to trust the institutions that serve them. I'm glad we're joining communities across Arizona in marking this occasion. Across the state, courts and legal organizations are highlighting the 250th anniversary of the Declaration of Independence and reaffirming the commitments that guide our legal professionals. Locally, it's also a chance to recognize the work happening in our neighborhoods, outreach in our schools, and support for families navigating the court system, and partnerships that help make justice more accessible. Law Day reminds us that the rule of law isn't abstract. It shows up in everyday work we do to support safe, informed, and empowered communities. I'm grateful to everyone in District 2 and across the county who contributes to that effort. Thank you.
And I'll just make some comments, having been a practicing lawyer for 44 years. Obviously, I understand the importance of the rule of law, but it really goes beyond that. And it is absolutely the centerpiece of our democracy. Our Constitution, of course, sets forth our parameters as a country and as a people, and truly being able to uphold the law and uphold the principles of our Constitution ensures of our fundamental rights as Americans and our fundamental rights as people in America. So, now more than ever, when the rule of law is getting challenged on every single level across our country, in government, and even by the people, it's important that we all take a look at who we are as Americans, take a look at what is the soul of America and what we, the people, can do to maintain the founding principles of this country. We're about ready to celebrate 250 years. So I think it's an important time to take a look and, quite frankly, to recommit ourselves to who we are as Americans and what we stand for as a country. So I want to thank you all for reading this. It's very important. It's an important time in our country, important time in our county. So really appreciate that. Any other comments, members of the board? Yes, Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And in addition to the comments made by my colleagues, thank you for being here this evening, reading this proclamation. And as I look out, I see our court partners out there. I see familiar faces. And I just want to say thank you for the work that's being done in this community, bringing the public in, educating them so they have an understanding of what is going on, because I believe that that goes a long way. So thank everyone in here for your work for that as well.
Any other comments?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Supervisor Fowler.
Yes, law today, the rule of law is all fuzzy, and people get caught. The sad thing is that people get caught in the middle of what's happening, and even in their everyday life. A lot of times they don't have a choice, and they're told this is how it's going to be. From scams that are being emailed and texted out, that is really interfering with people's lives, to, in various ways they get caught into this legal system. But I want to thank our presiding judge, Judge Reed, and also all of the courts and all the partners that go out into the community today and meeting people where they are. And that's part of our job as Coconino County, to help individuals resolve their issues. And our courts are going out into the communities. Next one's going to be in Page, April 17th. So people that have legal issues that may want to be able to resolve the issues, they can go there and be able to sit down with the judge and try to resolve their issues, and be able to get all kinds of different services and questions answered. And the one in Tuba City next one will be in Tuba City on June 5th. And I really appreciate the courts going out. Judge Grodman actually started this, and we used to do this in Tuba City. I'm really happy to see that the courts are now going out to each of our districts trying to resolve these issues, because people sometimes are afraid to come in. Sometimes they can't afford to come in. They don't have a right, but the courts are meeting them where they are. So I appreciate that. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. So we will have some photos, but we have one more proclamation, and then we'll meet just on the other side of this wall for some photos, if that's okay. If you can stay. Thank you. All right, we're moving on for another extremely important proclamation here. And, somebody was saying the other day, we've had a lot of proclamations lately, but they're important because basically they set forth who we are as Coconino County and really set forth what our principles are as a community. So we really appreciate being able to celebrate and to recognize and to set forth these proclamations for our community. The next one is number 2, consideration and possible action to approve a proclamation designating May 2026 as Mental Health Awareness Month. And with that, I know, it says HHS Director Michelle Oxlin will introduce the item, but she's not here, is she? Oh, there. Oh, where? I didn't see you back there, Michelle. And Angie Swart, John Seeley, Jackie Munoz, and Rob Lewis from HHS are going to take part in reading this. So I'm going to turn this to you, Michelle.
Thank you, Chair and Board of Supervisors. I am greatly honored to be in the presence of these individuals from our Recovery and Resiliency Division. They are on the front line providing mental health to consumers in our community every single day, and I am awed at what they do and so honored that they offered to read this. So I will turn it over to them.
Thank you. For the proclamation designating May 26 as Mental Health Awareness Month, whereas our county observes National Mental Health during the month of May to increase awareness about mental health, this observation is a pledge to prioritize the mental health and well-being of all residents, to raise awareness that mental health is a vital component of overall health, to acknowledge that mental illnesses are common and treatable, and that recovery is possible. And whereas people are inherently worthy of life, love, and healing, no matter what they look like, no matter where they are in their journeys, no matter where they are or aren't able to do. And
whereas Coconino County stands in solidarity with those who are experiencing mental health challenges and the families and friends who support them, along with the dedicated mental health providers whose services and support improves the lives of so many individuals. And whereas sharing personal experiences of living with mental illness or the loss of a loved one to death by suicide can reduce barriers and normalize the process of individuals seeking mental health treatment. And whereas we acknowledge the interconnectedness of an individual's lived experience, social and community context, and broader social determinants of health as they impact health and well-being, and recognize the importance of addressing all of the social determinants of health to improve well-being and mental health. And
whereas 1 in 5 adults experience a mental health condition each year, and whereas Health and Human Services remains committed to optimizing the health and well-being of our residents, supporting the recovery and resiliency of all our community members, and now, therefore, we do hereby proclaim May 2026 as Mental Health Awareness Month, pledging to continue supporting Coconino County Health and Human Services and our community partners as they expand access to behavioral health care, disrupt stigma around mental health, and continue finding innovative ways to promote mental health and well-being. Signed and sealed this 14th day of April 2026.
Thank you for reading that. Really appreciate that and appreciate you being with us this evening. Members of the board, do I have a motion designating May 2026 as Mental Health Awareness Month? We have a motion.
So move.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Are there going to be any events?
Several events planned in partnership with Northern Arizona Healthcare. We're working to reduce stigma and promote mental health awareness across the region. Mental health, as you know, is a vital component of overall community well-being, affecting individuals and families and the systems that support them. So starting in April and throughout all of May, there are over 30 events planned. Thank you, Northern Arizona Healthcare. There's a list of all the events. I won't go through all of them for you, but I do encourage folks to take a packet and look at those events. I just want to highlight just a few. There are some really wonderful open houses that are happening in our community related to mental health awareness. And so the first one that I want to highlight is at NACA, Native Americans for Community Action. They're having an open house on May 5th. From 8 to 12, and encourage people to come learn more about the services they provide. Hope Receiving Center is also having an open house on Friday, May 15th from 12 to 4. And I would be remiss if I didn't highlight in our Recovery Resiliency Program, our Pathways to Community, where John works, is having an open house on Wednesday, May 27th from 1 to 4 to share more about the work being done in that program. So in addition to those open houses, there's a lot of other events happening, but I wanted to highlight those few and make sure that you were aware and invite you to join any of those.
Fabulous. Thank you. And we'll take a look at the packets that you brought. So I appreciate you being here. I'm going to turn it to my colleagues for comments. Oh, you don't? Okay. Supervisor Fowler, do you have any comments to make?
Yes, thank you. We just spoke about our courts and our legal system, and many times our mental people that have the mental challenges are the ones that end up in these legal in these legal binds. So I know that our counties really work to have conversations about that and trying to see how we might be able to assist them. And a lot of times they're the ones that are out on the street, and they're the ones that really struggle with their once they become adults, especially, they really struggle to be self-sufficient. So these are issues that are out there, and really appreciate those that are working on their behalf, and every single day it's a tough job. So I just want to recognize them and just thank everyone. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor. Comment. Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, Director Axland, staff, Northern Arizona Healthcare, for being here and supporting this. I just want to say that there probably is no one in this room this evening that has not been impacted by loved ones that have had mental health issues. And I appreciate what you guys do. You guys are in the front line. This is tough work. This is difficult work, and it's caring work. And so I just want to thank you for what you guys do each and every day. Keep it up.
Supervisor, and now? Supervisor Vasquez.
Thank you. So I do have a statement, and first off, I just want to say thank you to HHS for bringing this to us. Mental health awareness is so important, and so as we recognize May 2026 as Mental Health Awareness Month in Coconino County, this is an important moment for us to acknowledge the real challenges many of our residents face and to highlight the resources and partnerships that support their well-being. Across the country, nearly 1 in 5 adults experience a mental health condition each year. And here in Coconino County, we see the impact of those needs in our schools, in our neighborhoods, and in the services our communities rely on. Our county spans a large and diverse region, and many families, especially in District 2, face barriers not just related to transportation, but access to care based on rising demand for behavioral health support. Mental Health Awareness Month gives us a chance to support the work being done by our local providers, our crisis response teams, and the organizations that help connect people to treatment, prevention programs, and culturally informed care. It also reminds us that mental health is part of overall health and that reaching out for support is a sign of strength, not stigma. By designating May as Mental Health Awareness Month, we reaffirm our commitment to building a community where people know they're not alone and where help is available when they need it. I'm grateful to everyone in District 2 and across Coconino County who work every day to support the well-beings of our residents. Thank you.
Thank you. And just some comments as well. You know, obviously, this is another important proclamation that we set our values as a community. And certainly our value is one of them, is mental health awareness, to bring it out of the shadows, to reduce the stigma through education and outreach. And I really love all the open houses you're having, because that's exactly one of the ways and an essential way to be able to do that. So really appreciate that. And also, we as a community and as a board, we look to partner with our partners here across Coconino County to expand access to behavioral health. Absolutely essential. Quite frankly, it's been an area of health that has been long ignored and overlooked and underappreciated the importance of it. So really appreciate the proclamation for you here, for the work that you do to help create a more healthy Coconino County. So thank you so much. We are going to take pictures. So at this point, we have a couple proclamations. Join us on the other side here and we'll take some pictures. All right, can we get ourselves going again, everybody, please? We still have a lot to do and some important work to get done here tonight. So we're going to move forward, and I really appreciate everybody that was here for those great proclamations. Our next area is the consent agenda. Consent agenda are items that are more administrative or ministerial in nature. They can be handled through one motion and one vote. As a result, they do not have individual discussions. So we, the board, have an opportunity, if we would like for individual discussions, to remove an item from the consent agenda for discussion and individual motion and individual vote. So I'm going to at this time ask my colleagues if there are any items they'd like to remove from the consent agenda.
Item number 15, please.
All right, Supervisor Vasquez has removed item 15 for individual discussion. Any other items to remove from the consent agenda?
Number
If
6.
not- Oh, I'm sorry.
No, Madam Chair, number 6 through 12, but I just want to make a comment. And if
You want to remove 6 through 12?
just one of them, just 6,
Okay.
because I just want to make a comment. Thank you.
Remove item number 6 for individual discussion and for individual voting. With that, members of the board, I would entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda, items 3 through 15, exclusive of number 6 and number 15. Do I have a motion?
So move.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving the consent agenda signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. Supervisor Fowler, you've asked to remove 6. It's consideration and possible action to approve a polling place agreement between Coconino County and the Botaway Chapter House polling location for utilizing this location as a polling location. That's redundant. For July 21st primary election and November 3rd general election. And I know, Supervisor, there were another number of other polling places we've already approved in the consent agenda. So I'm going to turn this over to you for discussion.
I just want to recognize the election office and county recorder's office for going out and finding a place where there would be a voting location, which is the polling location. And so they have to really look at the building, the facility, parking. There's so many details that go into that these agreements. And I just want to recognize their work. And we talk about elections department conducting election, but they do much more than that, just like identifying these polling locations where people can safely come, being able to vote, and getting all the volunteers, getting these agreements in order prior to elections, really, and getting all the getting volunteers to be able to work at these polling places during the election. So I just want to recognize their work as such. I think it's a difficult work, and it's very detailed that we just don't think about. It's just these polling locations come before us as though it's very easy to do, but I'm sure it's much more than that. So I just want to recognize them. Thank you.
Thank you, Supervisor Fowler. And with that, would you make a motion to approve of the polling place agreement between
Yes.
Coconino County and Botaway Gap? We have a motion by Supervisor Fowler. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second by Supervisor Vasquez. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It is unanimous. Thank you, and thank you for pulling that, Supervisor. Item number 15, consideration and possible action to approve an Arizona Department of Transportation Alternatives Program grant application in the amount of $3,011,387 with Coconino County cost share amount of $171,649 from HERF funds to construct a sidewalk along Skeet and Neptune Drive and number 2 ratify approval to March 31st, 2026. And I see we have our Public Works Director with us to talk about this. We wanted to pull it because this is a great thing, and we wanted to let the public know about this grant and how it's going to be utilized. So good to see you, Christopher. Thanks for being with us.
You'll see that the portion of this item is to ratify approval to March 31st, 2026. And so I just wanted to say that this is not how we like to do business. And it's our goal to not come to the Board of Supervisors to have to ratify things. But sometimes grants and opportunities that we aim to take to participate in happen quickly. And so in the future, we'll do a better job getting approval before we apply for grants. And this is a much needed project. It relates to safety and children getting to school. And so I'll turn it over to Nate for the rest of it, but thanks for your support in this.
Thank you, Christopher. Madam Chair, members of the board, thank you for having us here today to discuss this project. This is a project we're really excited to try to move forward with this grant opportunity. In our safety action plan, we have found through the data that we've collected that 45% of our pedestrian crashes end in a fatality. So this project here helps us get ahead of hopefully mitigating or stopping any type of pedestrian fatality crash on Skeet and Neptune. This sidewalk project will connect Comer School with the neighborhoods along Skeet and Neptune. And I don't have a map here to look at it and show everybody, but this sidewalk we've identified as being top priority because of where it connects to, the neighborhoods that it connects to, and the roadways it connects to. Really takes some of the neighborhoods and kind of utilizes this as a minor collector for pedestrians. The Comer School District is excited that we'll hopefully be able to get this project, and so is the fire station out there. This project started, we identified this project, I think it was back in 2019 with the Donny Park area plan. And we've done a significant amount of engineering to look at grading, drainage, and right-of-way needs for the project. And we've gotten to a place now to where we are able to apply for this ADOT grant. And we are extremely excited to apply for this ADOT grant. But I did also get some information this morning that this grant has $14 million in the pot for the grant, and ADOT received $104 million in applications. So it's going to be a very extremely competitive grant for us to get, but it's one that we think we have a very good shot and opportunity to get and hopefully deliver to the community.
Well, go get it. We want it. Thank you for that information. So, and this is wonderful. It's Comer School. It's really going to help that neighborhood over there.
Yes, ma'am.
Really appreciate that. So, any questions, members of the board, or I'd entertain a motion?
Madam Chair, just briefly,
Sure.
if I could have Nate just speak to the Safe Streets for All and the larger grant connection altogether.
So this project really wasn't identified in the Safe Streets for All. One thing that Safe Streets for All did identify is our pedestrian crashes. Anytime we have a pedestrian crash, or all of our pedestrian crashes in the county that we've looked at, 45% in a fatality. So this project really looks at trying to jump ahead and instead of being reactive towards crash mitigation, trying to prevent pedestrian crashes.
Thank you. So any other comments, questions before we entertain a motion? Yes, Supervisor Ontiveros.
I'll just make a comment that I appreciate the foresight in what you guys are doing. This is really important, and I am very supportive of it and supportive of the work that you guys are doing. So, and with that, I will make a motion that we approve item number 15 on the consent agenda.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I'm going to give that to Supervisor Fowler because this is in her district. So, and all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. And Supervisor Fowler, would you like to make any comment?
No, I think this is really great that, always transportation is always the #1 issue out there. So working with ADOT is really we're always working with ADOT. It's really a lot of teamwork that goes on behind the scenes, so thank you.
All right, thank you, and thank you for being with us this evening. Really appreciate it. All right, so we are moving on. So we have, we need to resolve as the Health District Board of Directors. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We are now the Health District Board of Directors. And with that, we have another consent agenda item, item number 17, which is on the consent agenda for the Health District. Do we need it removed, or can I have a motion to accept the consent agenda as set forth in our agenda?
Seeing that there is no one wanting to pull anything, I'll make a motion that we approve item number 16, please.
We have a motion to approve the consent agenda as written. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. So now we need to resolve back as the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and second. All those in favor being the Board of Supervisors signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now magically the Board of Supervisors, but not for long. Do I have a motion for us to resolve as the Library District Board of Directors?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second by Supervisor Fowler. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We are now the Library District Board of Directors. And members of the board, we have one item as a consent agenda under the Library District. Would you like to have this removed for discussion, or do I have a motion to accept the consent agenda for the Library District?
I move that we accept the agenda item.
We have a motion to accept the consent agenda. All those in favor, or I'm sorry, do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
It's unanimous. And now we need to resolve back as the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
A motion and a second. All those in favor of being the Board of Supervisors signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're now the Board of Supervisors, but we need to become the Flood Control District Board of Directors. Do I have a motion?
So move.
Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor of being the Flood Control District Board of Directors signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. We're now the Flood Control District. And members of the board, we have an action item as the Flood Control District Board of Directors. Item number 19 is consideration of possible action to authorize the Finance Department to transfer $15,500,000 of cash and $301,366.50 in association with fiscal year 2026 interest from the Flood Control District to the general fund to repay the outstanding district loan and to authorize the district to work with the county treasurer, who happens to be here tonight, to issue warrants as needed to manage the cash flow. And with that, I see that we have our Flood Control District Administrator, Lucinda Andriani, who's present. So I'm going to turn this over to her for her to explain this. And we do have the treasurer, Sarah Benatar, with us as well. So if there are questions, I'm sure Sarah would be more than happy to jump in. So with that, Lucinda, please take it away.
Thank you very much, and good evening, Chair and board members. Appreciate the opportunity to bring this forward. This is the culmination of several years of a tremendous effort to mitigate the post-wildfire flooding out north of Flagstaff and the Timberline, Fernwood, and Donny Park neighborhoods. And I think it's been a real learning process, I think, for all of us. And we've been through, the process. The district actually was able to cover a great deal of cost. We've gone through and met with you individually to discuss how it's all kind of transpired over this time frame. And now we're in a position to be able to repay the loan and the interest and move forward with the support of the treasurer. And I do appreciate that she is there this evening. And certainly if you have any questions about that piece of the process, I'm sure she'd be happy to answer those. As we move forward, it's going to be important that we work with her to track the costs in terms of managing the cash flow over the next couple of years, and look at, potentially look at other options in the future. And I think we've learned a lot about if we get back into another flood related disaster, how do we handle it? And we did very well this time. We were able through the district to cover a lot of our costs. And I think that would now influence being able to do this even more, I'll say, cost effectively over time. So thank you for your consideration this evening.
Thank you. And just a comment to make, and then I'm going to ask the treasurer if she has some comments she would like to make. I will note that we, as the Board of Supervisors, during the crisis that we incurred as communities from the tunnel and pipeline fire and the post-wildfire flooding, Board of Supervisors committed to $15,500,000 in cash from the general fund as a loan to the flood control district to utilize for extensive flood mitigation projects. A lot of this money was utilized as our matching portion of federal monies and federal grants, which came to just under about $100 million. So money well spent, and it was utilized to bring in other monies for us for the extensive flood mitigation work that was done, especially on the east side, but the west side got it as well. So with that, I do see Sarah Benatar, our treasurer, up here. I know she's been working very diligently to make sure we're doing this right and make sure that we are, quite frankly, tracking it in accordance with our policies and procedures. So thank you, Sarah, for being with us.
Thank you, Chair Horstman, members of the board. It's great to be here this evening. I want to say thank you to Lucinda and also to Siri for taking the time, especially I know the last couple months we've spent a lot of time on this to find, I think, a very positive solution, especially addressing any cash needs going forward for the district. So for us, we would be choosing to invest in any need for registering warrants, which means just making sure there's enough cash to meet the demand. If there ever isn't, our office would invest in it, and we would make sure that we were following the treasury rate. So looking at the 4-week to the 2-year, finding the best rate. So that way we are making sure we're being good stewards of public money by still earning a positive rate of return, but also being a good steward of public money by working with the district to make sure we're not costing our taxpayers that much money. And so for us, every dollar that we can help save any district, any county department, that is always a goal of ours to make sure that we are saving money for the taxpayer. So we are looking forward to continue working closely. We truly appreciate the cash, understanding better what the cash demands are, especially the bills. For us, the better pulse we have on cash, the more money we can earn in terms of investing it, but also the amount of money that we can save for our district. So again, really appreciate the partnership and always here to help.
Thank you, and yes, you are, and we appreciate your oversight of our money because, quite frankly, it's not really our money, it's our taxpayers' money. So we take that very seriously. And Siri, really want to call you out too for the great job you've done and making sure this gets tracked appropriately. And any comments you'd like to make?
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. I will echo that it was a great partnership getting to this moment. I think it's important for the record to state that at the time that we did the cash loan to the flood control district, it was an intentional action by the board, and I think we all agree it was the right decision for the board to make at the right time. And I'm happy that now we are a few years down the road and that the flood control district is in a cash position to where they no longer need that loan and can repay it rather than going with the payment over time. I think the other thing for the record, I want to recognize also that part of this action does acknowledge that the flood control district, in still adopting a balanced budget, may have times of cash flow considerations, shortfalls, if you will, with that balanced budget, just given the timing and the nature of tax collections. Unfortunately, not everyone just pays their tax bill July 1st, because usually we haven't, well, always, we've never even adopted the levy by that point. So the budget starts July 1st, the tax collections come in later. And so in this action is just acknowledging that there will be times where they may need to work with the treasurer in registering warrants as noted. So with this action, the final piece of that is transferring back any foregone interest that the general fund had lost, if you will, over the course of having the loan with the flood control district. And I think that's just an important thing to note as well, that the taxpayers of the greater county are actually being made whole through this action in interest costs. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? And if not, I would entertain a motion to authorize the Finance Department to
Madam
transfer.
Chair.
I'm sorry, Supervisor Fowler.
Thank you. I just want to recognize Lucinda for, these fires happen, and then you got to figure out, how do we address this? And then there's the finance part. There's the major construction and figuring all of that, managing the projects, multiple projects happening all at the same time, and then keeping the community safe, and at the same time trying to figure out the finance part. So I just want to recognize Lucinda and our county treasurer, Sarah, and Siri really working together on this. And then our former county manager, Steve Peru, he was here when the tunnel fire happened, and the county managers there, and Andy Bertelson, all of them are involved, and there's multiple people that are involved in this process. So I just want to really recognize the county departments, their partnership in working together, these inner partnerships that happen within the county. A lot of it is behind the scene, but I just want to thank Lucinda for being able to have her magic wand and being able to work through this whole process. It's a humongous process with limited staff at the same time. And then many different kinds of contractors and so many projects, and being able to figure out that finance part. And you did, Lucinda, and Sarah and everyone coming together and just figuring this out. So I just want to recognize all of you. Thank you.
Thank you. And of course, it was during a crisis. I mean, we were in the midst of a huge crisis, and people have so many needs, and really health and safety was really at risk. So it was a great effort, And thank you all to those that were responsible for responding and getting the funding necessary from both the federal government and the state, so that we could accomplish the incredible work that's been done for flood mitigation for our communities. And then, of course, to make sure we're making it legal and making it according to our policies and procedures, and ensuring that our monies are tracked and are appropriately utilized. So really appreciate that. Any other comments, questions? Supervisor Vasquez.
Yes, thank you. Just can't believe it's been 4 years since the fire and all the aftermath and the construction to do all the work. And so thank you, Lucinda and the Flood Control District and everybody else in the county and our partners who made it happen, so that we could be in this position where right now we're actually paying back a $15 million loan completely paid off. And that's really exciting that we're able to do that. I remember 4 years ago or 3.5 years ago, when we were deciding to do this, we were a little concerned because it was a big deal. And we didn't know if it was going to work out, but we knew we had to do something. And so fortunately, it worked out well. We were able to do all the restoration that we needed in the meantime. And so we're now in a fiscal situation where we can pay off that loan completely. And that's really exciting. So thank you, team. Great job. And with that, I'd like to put a motion that we accept the item.
Authorize Finance Department to transfer $15,500,000 of cash and $301,366.50 in associated fiscal year 2026 interest from the Flood Control District to the general fund to repay the outstanding district loan and to authorize the district to work with the county treasurer to issue warrants as needed to manage cash flow.
Thank you.
And I'll second that.
And we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All right. That was a long motion. All right.
That
Thank
should be
you
a
very much.
photo. There should
Thank
be
you.
a photo after.
Thank you
right.
so much.
Members of the board, we now need to go back as the Board of Supervisors. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 We're now Board of Supervisors. We have a very similar motion or item. Consideration and possible action to authorize the Finance Department to transfer $15,500,000 of cash plus fiscal year 2026 interest from the Flood Control District to the general fund in repayment of the outstanding district loan. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to our Finance Director, Siri.
Thank you, Chair and members of the board. Just by way of explanation why we have the same item essentially twice on here. The first item we were asking you as the Board of Directors, which is a separate legal taxing entity, to take action authorizing the transfer. And now wearing your Board of Supervisors hats, we're just asking for the same corresponding action to process the transfer, if you will, on the county side and undo the loan, which will then get reflected appropriately in our financial statements as no longer being a loan from the district to the general fund. So it really is exactly the same item we just discussed, just wearing a different hat.
Thank you very much. Any comments or questions? And if not, at this time, I would entertain a motion to authorize the Finance Department to transfer $15,500,000 of cash plus fiscal year 2026 interest from the Flood Control District to the general fund in repayment of the outstanding district loan. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It's unanimous. So congratulations. That was a lot. Well, thank you for being with us. All right. Now they're going to go celebrate. Number 21, discussion, consideration, and possible approval of Resolution 2026-17, approving the Trust for Public Lands, Coconino County donation and land conservation service agreement, accepting the donation of Gonzalez Ranch for the Trust for Public Lands and paying the trust $150,000 for services related to donation of the property. And we have Cynthia Nemeth from Parks and Rec. Thank you for being with us today. And please let us know about this.
Absolutely. Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the board. This has been in the works for, well, since about 2022. We heard from property owners in Williams. They own 488 acres. They approached the county with an interest to donate said land to the county for the purposes of recreation, passive recreation. We put them in contact with the Trust for Public Lands because they, as a donation, they were entitled to the tax benefit. And the Trust for Public Lands not only is very capable and very knowledgeable in these types of transactions, but also as a nonprofit would facilitate that tax benefit. And so they have been working, the property owners and the Trust for Public Lands have been working closely since 2022. We are told by the Trust for Public Lands that their transaction, because it's a two-part transaction where the property owners donate the property to the trust for that tax benefit, and then the trust conveys the property back to the county as the intended outcome. And so we're hearing from the trust that they are about to close with the family, and so we're queuing all their needed documentation so that once their transaction is complete, the trust can quickly and smoothly convey the land to Coconino County.
And then we're going to use it for passive recreational opportunities for our communities. Is that correct?
That's absolutely correct. So the two documents that you have in front of you, one is the Land Conservation Services Agreement, which indicates to the trust that we intend on accepting the said land, if the transaction, fulfills itself as is expected. But that also acknowledges that they have done a lot of work so far. They have facilitated this entire agreement, the two agreements, right, or the two transactions. They've also already paid for all of the due diligence. And so the land conservation agreement acknowledges that and also says that the county will pay them $150,000 for the work that they have done and will continue to do until it's complete. The second document in front of you for consideration and approval is the donation agreement. That document states that if the transaction comes to play as it is intended and expected, that the county's intent is to accept said donation, that we do accept the property in the condition that it currently exists. And basically that's that. Talking about the condition of the property, we do know from the Phase 1 environmental assessment report, and we've seen it for ourselves. We know that it's there, a pile of like concrete, rubble, nothing onerous. There are some steel remnants of barrels and old, mattress springs and just some oddball metal debris. And there are also, the environmental assessment report indicated a barrel of unknown substance. We know now that it is water. We have seen it for ourselves. We've documented it. We are nevertheless going to bring out an environmental services company to just indicate that that is in fact what is in there. So that it can accompany the environmental assessment report and just make risk management very happy, make ourselves happy, and we've checked that one off the box. Check that box off. So another thing that conveys with this particular property is a billboard. There's a billboard sign that is adjacent to I-40, so that agreement also would come with the property. So in terms of next steps, as soon as the family and the Trust for Public Lands conclude their transaction, then as I stated, it'll convey to the county. Then we will immediately, and we already have budget for this, is to ensue on a master planning process. A master planning process for that property will obviously involve the community of Williams, the leadership of Williams, and other members of the county. So that would be the next step after that. There's also an opportunity, and we'll see how all this plays out, but there's an opportunity to utilize the value of this land as a match versus a cash match for a land water conservation grant. So this is exciting, and we hope that everything queues up because land water conservation fund grants come up to a maximum of $1 million. And so if we can match that without any cash outlay, that would be a wonderful opportunity to sooner than later begin to implement some of the recommendations that we may learn about during the master planning process.
That is very exciting. I don't know. I mean, I know we have to do this first and then we'll get there, but please keep us informed on that. That is very exciting.
Yeah.
So, I think that it's important to acknowledge, and I know this is in Supervisor Ontiveros' district, and back before Supervisor Ontiveros, if there was such a time, we did have Matt Ryan, and I know Matt was heavily involved in this and heavily involved with the family on getting this accomplished and done. So definitely want to shout out to our former colleague, Matt Ryan, and a huge thank you to the Gonzalez, to the family for the Gonzalez Ranch donation, for conservation and recreation. It's kind of like a legacy, leaving a legacy for the community and by doing this. And so we really want to acknowledge that, acknowledge the importance of this to the county, to our communities, and also thank the family for their community spirit and their recognition of the importance of their land being utilized in this conservation and recreational capacities. So Please, I don't know the family, but please extend our deepest thanks.
We certainly will.
Yeah,
We certainly will.
Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And I also would like to echo her comments too. I would like to publicly thank the family for their donation and was actually going to ask that you pass that on to the family. So it's obviously something well felt across from the board this evening. I'm also glad that you talked about the next steps, which are going to be the master plan. So I don't know. I know that we've got to, knock this domino down first for the rest of them to fall. And you are going to be involving the leadership in Williams, the community in Williams, everyone. And I think that that's really important because this sits right in the heart of the city there. So I really feel that we do need their input. So appreciate that. So I have a question for you. So it has a billboard on it. Are there plans for that billboard?
Well, that will be a discussion that we will definitely have to have. Right now, the billboard is there. The agreement, I think, don't quote me on this. I will definitely get back to you on this.
Okay.
But the agreement expires soon. And so we will have an opportunity to have a conversation about retaining, not retaining, that sort of thing. So let me get back to you on that timeline, though.
Okay, no, and I would appreciate that because I'm curious because some of these billboards can actually create revenue.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you know where I'm going.
And this one does.
And this one does. Yeah. So I think that this, I would like to see how this transpires because it would be good if this could be a revenue generating item for Coconino County. So just wanted to put that out there.
You bet.
So with that, are you ready? No, go ahead. I see you want to say something. I'm sorry.
No problem. I was just going to say thank you to the family and thank you to Parks and Rec and all the partners that are making this happen. It's exciting that we're going to have some recreation added to the Williams community. And so really look forward to seeing how it develops and look forward to seeing how these partnerships create this new space that we're going to have in Coconino County. Thank you.
Thank you.
Supervisor Fowler, do you want to make some comments before we have a motion?
Yes, thank you. I'm really happy to see that this is still moving forward. I want to thank Supervisor Ryan and the family, just like all my colleagues have. And thank you, Cynthia, for all your work and your team's work on this property. So thank you. It's really good, a really good update, and excited that it's still moving forward. Thank you.
And thank you.
With that, Supervisor Ontiveros, would you like to make the motion?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like to make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-17, approving the Trust for Public Land Coconino County donation and land conservation services agreements, accepting the donation of Gonzalez Ranch from the Trust for Public Land and paying the Trust $150,000 for services related to the donation of the property.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous. And again, thank you for your work and your staff's work.
Thank you, supervisors, and I'll be sure to pass on your gratitude to the property owners.
Thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So we are moving to a public hearing, but we're moving, so that's a good thing. Number 22, public hearing consideration and possible action to recommend approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control regarding a new application number 382780 for a Series 02 restaurant liquor license for Saigon North, located at 17612 Fairway Drive in Munns Park. Agent is Lauren K. Merritt, and I'm going to turn this over to our clerk, Lindsay Daly, to proceed.
Thank you, Chair Horstman, and good evening, supervisors. As noted, this is a new liquor license Series 12 restaurant for Saigon North, and the agent is Lauren K. Merritt. And this is located in Munns Park, which is District 3. I do want to note that I did speak to the agent, and although this is a new liquor license, it's not a new liquor license for this location. So it's a new business. And they're excited to break ground on their restaurant. They're working with the health department on the food service requirements that they need to go through as well to be a restaurant. So once we received the application, we did send it out to the departments, which include the sheriff's office, our risk manager, community development, and health department to review the application and let us know if there are any concerns that they have regarding it. None of the departments have concerns regarding it. And I do want to thank the sheriff's office because they did go out and do the posting of the application as well as this public hearing notice so that community members could offer comments or concerns if they have some. That also has my phone number on it. So if they can't be here, they can also call me and make me aware of their concerns, which we did not receive any comments or concerns regarding the application.
Good.
So as you know, the board considers the application and provides a recommendation to the state. And the state liquor department is the department that issues the license. And that's based off of the board's knowledge of the area and the community, that the state is looking for that. So, that's all I have for tonight. The agent was planning to be here, but I don't see her on tonight.
We do have all the documents in front of us, and before we open it for a public hearing, I'm going to ask if there are any comments or questions from the supervisors before I open it for public hearing. I notice it's in District 3. Most of these liquor license applications are from District 3. And seeing none at this point, I'm going to ask Clerk Lindsay Daly to please, I'm going to open the public hearing. I'm going to ask Lindsay to please explain how members of the public can address this public hearing for the recommendation or possible recommendation of approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control regarding a new application for a liquor license at Saigon North located in Munns Park. So with that, Lindsay, please explain to the public how they can join us for this public hearing.
Thank you, Chair Horstman. At this time, if there's anyone here in the room that would like to provide comment for this public hearing item, you can come on up to the podium now and we will provide 3 minutes for you to speak. If you're watching the YouTube stream, you can email your comments to boardcomments@coconino.az.gov and we will read your comment for the record.
Well, nobody's rushing up from the room here. Anybody online that'd like to address us during this public hearing?
And Deputy Clerk Bellweber just checked and there's nothing in the inbox for.
All right. Seeing no one going to speak further on it, and with the understanding that all requirements have been met and there have been no objections that have been raised with regards to this, at this time, I will close the public hearing and I'll turn it to my colleagues for any comments or questions or a motion. Supervisor Ontiveros.
Madam Chair, I see no one wishing to make a comment, so I'm going to make a motion that we recommend approval to the Arizona Department of Liquor License and Control on this item this evening.
Very good. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. It is unanimous, and we want to wish all the best luck to the Saigon North and look forward and stopping by and checking out the establishment. So thank you. With that, we're moving on. We have a discussion item, what we've all been waiting for, it appears, and really appreciate so many people from our community here tonight to talk about item number 23, presentation and discussion of Coconino County for the state of readiness for the 2026 wildfire season. We talked a little bit about the wildfire season back for tunnel and pipeline and the cost to us, both financially and personally and spiritually and every other way. And so I think it's really important that we're here to talk about the state of readiness and the resiliency of our communities going forward for wildfire season. And with that, the person that we look to for that resiliency and to help us through this is our Emergency Management Director, Tim Carter. And I know you have a number of people here that you're going to introduce. So I'm going to turn this over to you, Tim.
Thank you, Madam Chair, Mr. Vice Chair, Supervisors. Good evening. Good to see you. Again, I have the honor of serving as your Emergency Management Director for Coconino County. All right.
The first emergency tonight.
We are prepared. you know, we do want to talk about our state of readiness as we move into what we say, quote unquote, is a wildfire season. You know, we know here across the region, it's no longer really a season, it's a year-round thing. But one of the common themes that we really want to share with you tonight is partnerships. You know, and what a strong partnership can mean and working together. And, you know, I think we all know that we're stronger when we come together and work together. So I will start by saying thank you from the Emergency Management Department to a lot of our partners that are here tonight. You're going to hear presentations from several entities that really work together as we move forward into how we plan and respond and mitigate wildfires. So we've got Ms. Megan Taylor from the National Weather Service. She's going to come up and kind of really give us what those current conditions and long-term forecasts look like for the season. And then also Matt McGrath and Drew Brown from the Forest Service are here to kind of talk to us about what they're doing on forest and how we are able to support their efforts. And then after that, Mr. Jay Nielsen from APS, Fire Mitigation Program, is going to come talk to us about what APS is doing. And then round it out with the sheriff and I with more of a county approach and how we are responding from the county. So
We have the fire chief here too.
we have a fire chief here. If he's brave and wants to jump in, he certainly can. I do want to recognize Chief Gaylord from the City of Flagstaff Fire Department is here as well.
Thank you for being with us.
So with that, I will get out of the way and turn it over first to Megan from the Weather Service to kind of go over our wildfire weather.
Good evening, Madam Chair, members of the board. Thank you for having us. Thank you, Tim. Again, I'm Megan Taylor, National Weather Service here in Flagstaff. I'm the warning coordination meteorologist here with the Weather Service. We're going to talk to you over the next few minutes about kind of what we've seen this winter season and what we expect through the rest of this spring and even into the summer. So starting out, we'll take a look at current drought conditions. So shown on the left is our current drought status, and shown on the right is a comparison of 2025, so about a year ago. Luckily, we've seen a lot of improvement. So we currently, much of Coconino County is sitting in moderate drought conditions. Yeah, that actually has changed in the last couple of weeks. We were out of drought, but we have just slipped into it, just that first category of moderate drought conditions. But the good news is, if you look to the right, the comparison compared to last year, significant improvement, where much of the county was seeing severe to even tiny portions of extreme drought. And a lot of that is due to the wet fall. We had a very wet wet fall this year. And so much of that is what led to significant drought improvement. This is a look kind of digging into the numbers. I'm going to show quite a few graphs and numbers and charts here. This is looking at water year precipitation. So that starts October 1st, basically the cool season precipitation throughout the year. And what we've seen so far, and this is kind of the graphic on the left is averaging across the basins, the watershed districts. And this is showing generally anywhere from about 90 to just over 100% of normal precipitation. So though we have seen a significant lack in snowpack, we are seeing actually pretty normal conditions for the water season, the water year. Specifically, just to give you some numbers, Flagstaff has measured 12.75 inches for the water year, which is compared to the normal of 11.03, so 115% of normal precipitation for the cool season so far. And you see that similar trend as we go down in the table. So much of Coconino County ranging from about 90 to a little over 100% of normal precipitation. There are a few outliers, as you can see, the Grand Canyon South Rim Station, so it does vary from location to location, but generally we're about on par for precipitation. I do want to draw attention to this winter season in terms of temperatures. It's no surprise, this was a very warm winter. And when we look at the winter, we're meteorologically looking at December, January, and February. And that was the second warmest winter on record for Flagstaff. Many other locations across northern Arizona were the warmest winter on record. So it was a very significant winter in terms of the warmth that we experienced. Now, a little bit of less positive news, the snowpack. We all know there wasn't a lot of snowpack this year, well below average. Flagstaff has only measured, including this morning, that would put us at 26.9 inches of snowfall for the season. That's about 30% of what we would expect to date for a normal snowfall season. So very lacking in snowfall. The image here is showing the snow water equivalent. So the liquid precipitation available in the snowpack, and currently ranging from 0 to 15% of normal. So what we would see for this time of the year. We did see some brief snow accumulations through the winter, but that was followed by prolonged periods of very warm and dry weather. That's kind of a summary of what we've seen so far this season. What are we expecting? We were very thankful to have some moisture this morning, some snowfall up on the peaks, very beneficial this time of year. We are expecting this pattern to continue through about the end of April, where we see kind of shortwave weather systems moving through, bringing periodic wind, cooler temperatures, and chances for showers. So this is the outlook basically taking us through the rest of April. We could expect near normal temperatures and precipitation. And then as we move forward, this is our 3-month outlook, basically for the spring, so April, May, and June. And we are seeing a strong signal for warmth to continue. So expecting likely that we'll see above average temperatures. And that's on the left. Shown on the right is precipitation. And this is where there's not a very clear signal of whether we're going to see above or below normal precipitation. So just not enough confidence in the models at this point to say what that spring precipitation is going to look like. The good news, moving towards monsoon season, this is the outlook for July, August, and September. And we can see on the left, chances are still leaning towards above normal temperatures. And right now, all of the latest information and model data that we have is leaning towards above normal precipitation for monsoon season, and particularly that July, August, and September period. So this is the drought outlook. So we currently are seeing some moderate drought conditions across Coconino County. What do we expect that to look like at the end of the spring? This is the outlook through June 30th. And areas of brown annotating where we expect drought to persist, and areas of yellow showing where we expect drought to develop. So basically all of northern Arizona is expected to see drought conditions through June. Putting all those pieces together, this is a look from our predictive services agency that puts together a significant wildland fire potential. And this is for May. And we do see areas of red showing above significant wildland fire potential, above normal, I should say, and highlighting much of northern Arizona, including Coconino County for May. And then similarly through June, expecting the above normal wildland fire potential to continue. I should say I didn't include the graphic for July, but it is expected to return back to normal levels for July once we start to see the monsoon moisture. So to wrap that all up, quick summary for you, the wet fall conditions have led to significant improvement over last year in terms of drought conditions, but we are continuing to see moderate drought. Very low snowpack, well below average snowpack with prolonged warm and dry periods. We are currently in ENSO neutral. We were in a weak La Nina, but that has transitioned to ENSO neutral. And those conditions are expected to persist into the summer. The outlook through June favors above normal temperatures with equal chances for above, near, or below normal precipitation. The outlooks lean toward above normal precipitation and temperatures for monsoon season, which includes July, August, and September. As far as fire potential, we are expecting above normal significant wildland fire potential for May and June, and then turning normal by July. I believe that is the end of my portion.
I have a question. And first, since we've had such a mild winter, or no winter really, I'm really surprised to hear that we're about 90 to 100% of normal for precipitation. But since we've had such a hot winter and expecting a hot spring and a hot summer, doesn't even if we're having average, if you will, percentage on precipitation, doesn't the increased temperature affect where we are and actually increase that fire risk?
Yes. So could you clarify the question for me?
Sure.
Yeah.
And what I guess I'm saying is, great, we have equal precipitation, but it's been so hot. Doesn't that really adversely affect our fire season, our fire outlook, I should say?
Yeah, and the fire outlooks take all of the pieces into account. And I can't say I'm the expert on the fire outlook portion. I think we have others.
Yeah, they're going to talk about that. Good.
Yeah. But yeah, just to summarize the weather portion, I mean, so we have had moisture, right? And that has seeped into the ground all fall and all winter.
Mm-hmm.
So water supply wise, we're doing okay. We're about where we should be. It's just the snowpack piece, which maybe others have input as to how that affects the fire outlook. But
We'll quiz them. Thank you.
Thanks, Megan. And Supervisor, I will just say, I forgot to mention earlier that we did update the presentation from what is in your original packet. So you do have the new packet there with you, the separate handouts that I did leave out earlier. So that's the new stuff for tonight. And thanks for the question, Chair Horstman, for getting into the vegetation and how the moisture impacts the fuels. That kind of leads us into the next presenters from the Forest Service. So we'll invite up Mr. Matt McGrath and True Brown from the Coconino National Forest.
Well, we always are happy to see our partners here at the Forest Service. Thank you. Thanks for being with us.
Great. Thanks, Chair Horstman, Vice Chair Vasquez, and Supervisors Ontiveros and Big A, or Fowler. I haven't actually been here since Supervisor Ontiveros has been on the board. It's been a little bit of a while, but we had a chance to go out on a field trip together in December, a very warm, dry December day, if I remember correctly, which kind of was something we had. My name is Matt McGrath. I'm the district ranger here on the Flagstaff Ranger District. Been here for quite some time. I have True Brown, our fire staff officer on the National Forest. He'll be speaking in a little bit, and you can grill him, give him the hard questions, and I'll take the easy ones. But I was thinking, I want to echo Tim's comment earlier about the partnership aspect. I was thinking earlier, my first 6 months here, I did not know Lucinda. And then we had the museum fire, and I think I talked to Lucinda, twice a week since July of 2019. It's kind of funny how that works, but we've been through great days together. We've been through tough days together, but we've been through them together, and we keep going, which I think is the important thing. Just want to start just a quick overview, and we really pared the slides down here to have time for conversation and your questions. But when we talk about wildfire risk reduction, what are we trying to do? And really what our goal there is to reduce the potential for uncharacteristic fire that significantly impacts the peaks or any of our communities around town. When I talk about uncharacteristic fire, I think this community understands that fire is a natural part of our landscape and our ecosystem. We are going to have fire in these areas. We can't stop and exclude fire. We have all of our problems now, mostly to a great extent because we excluded fire for as long as we could. So we're trying to restore as natural conditions as possible so that when we do have a fire, it rolls through more naturally in the understory, in the grass, and doesn't get in the crowns and doesn't burn more catastrophically the things that you're used to seeing in the last few years. And really trying to move towards kind of a more natural fire regime. It's never going to be completely natural because we have 150,000 people living in the Ponderosa Pine Forest that's meant to burn. But we're working on it. So 3 primary tools we'll talk briefly about. Some of the mechanical work that you're very familiar with because the county is a huge partner with the Forest Service. Prescribed fire that we've been doing, and we're kind of in the middle of our season. We're having a little bit of an extension to our season, I think, with this precipitation. And then the toughest part of my job and True's job that we haven't figured out yet is the people management part. If we could just get people to do what we wanted, we'd have a much easier go of it when it comes to this, but I'm sure I don't need to tell the Board of Supervisors or any county folks that. This is an image I always share with you, and I always apologize because our district is kind of north-south oriented, and PowerPoints are east-west oriented, so it's small. But Flagstaff is right there in the middle, and just the colors don't matter, but those are all of our timber projects over the last 10 years and going into the future. Just giving you an idea of the areas that we're focusing on around Munns Park, Kachina, Mountain Air, Flagstaff, especially southwest of the peaks where we have some of our greatest fire risk. This is kind of this is a Google Earth image of looking from basically over Belmont up towards the peaks, the southwest prevailing wind. And there's a lot in here, but just an idea of all of these projects have been completed either in the past couple of years or will be completed in the next 3 to 4 years. And this is like real-time wildfire risk reduction in action that you are seeing. And the county is a huge partner and funded a significant portion of this work. One thing I will share is that Highway 180 that's going up there we're mostly doing mechanical treatment on the east side, have great success. Those are some really good percentages that we have complete there. And then on the west side of 180 that are more out year, you've seen us burn, doing prescribed fire there over the last 6 or 7 years. So we were kind of reducing the fuels as best we could with prescribed fire. Then we'll be going in with mechanical treatment, and then you'll see us going back in with prescribed fire again, or a natural fire if we have the opportunity. But trying to get on that cycle of regular fire rolling through these landscapes. Do want to talk about prescribed fire because it's probably one of the #1 complaints we get about smoke. Completely understandable, and a lot of people have health conditions that the smoke impacts them. But like I said, and folks here pretty much understand, we're going to have fire in this area, and so what we're trying to do with prescribed fire is introduce low to moderate intensity fire under favorable conditions, and those favorable conditions are March and April when we still have moisture in the soil and in the vegetation, or in October and November when we've had some monsoon moisture and we have an opportunity to get in there before. Usually we get snow sometimes in December and January. So we're looking to introduce fire during those lower intensity times so that we don't necessarily have a fire in the higher intensity times, late May, June, July. We've all been through that over the last several years, and we understand what that's like. So what we do is we're reducing the fuels there, have a better opportunity for our fire folks that you'll hear from to suppress a fire when we have more dangerous conditions and protect the community. I had a great call from some folks this year. They had a big grass crop. They were over in Doney Park, a big grass crop, and they called and they said, "Hey, can you do a prescribed fire here in the next couple of weeks?" And I was like, "I love your energy, but that's not quite how it works." We have burn plans. A lot of planning goes into these things. We have burn plans that we've been working on for years and years, and those consider a lot of factors: temperature, humidity, wind, moisture. Just sharing that because oftentimes, in addition to folks not being happy about the smoke, the other thing we often hear when we say, "Hey, we're going to be doing a prescribed fire this week," we always hear, "Oh my God, it's going to be so windy." And it's going to be breezy, but it's not going to be super windy. I just want to share that with folks because one of the things we capitalize on, 10-mile-an-hour winds, one, to help carry the fire through the grass, two, clears the smoke out quicker. If we burn and we don't have any wind, a lot of it really sinks down, particularly into the Verde Valley. So just want to share, yes, there is going to be some breeze. We don't want it dead calm. It wouldn't really actually meet our prescription for what we're looking for. This image just want to share with you because it's kind of a big part of the success story that we have here in the area. But these colored sections are prescribed fire units that we'll be looking to get into in the next couple of years. But sharing this mostly because of the crosshatch. All that has been completed, prescribed fire projects that have been completed in the last 3 years. So most of that on the left side of the screen is that stuff on the west side of Highway 180, where we were burning that while we're cutting on the east side of 180. And then we'll flip that and we'll start burning on the east side and start cutting on the west side. But also you'll see one I do want to draw your attention to over in between Mount Eldon and Doney Park, that green section there. We'll be looking, probably have the right conditions after some of this precipitation, maybe in a week or two, to be going out into that. And that's right by my office and right by some homes. And then also to those green sections on the very bottom of the map, Campbell Mesa along Interstate 40. Looking to get into those areas also probably in the next week or two, but it really depends on what the fuel moistures actually look like from the last week. Just one more slide that I want to share with you, just showing some more of the work that's been done. A lot of the work around Kachina and Mountain Air, more so to the north, but we could have a fire impact those communities from the north. And then over on the west side, there's kind of Crater Sink south of Rogers Lake. It's a checkerboard with these weird sections of nothing in it. Those are state managed parcels, and we burn those also in partnership with our state partners. So had a lot of success. And then down around the Mormon Lake area, that little section that's surrounded by yellow, we were in there about 2 weeks ago, right against the cabins at the Mormon Lake Lodge, and some residences there. And we were able to get in there, and really the value in that, that's like, as I said, real-time risk reduction. Like the threat of catastrophic fire to that community this summer is immediately reduced when we're able to do that. So when folks question, why are you doing this? The smoke bothers me. A lot of things bother me about it. That's exactly why. And then I will ask True to come up here. You can introduce himself and talk more about our organization and what we're looking at for this evening.
You know, before we get there, I think it's really, you know, some of your, the slides you have, I mean, we need to share these, you know, far and wide, but also to really thank the Forest Service and for the partnership we have with the Forest Service. You know, one of the things we've been talking about is we need to get out of that vicious cycle of drought, catastrophic forest fire, post-wildfire flooding. And the way we do that is through forest restoration and to start building a more resilient, more healthy forests. So what you have, I mean, I hope the public takes a look at this. This is unbelievable. In the matter of just a few years, the work that's been done to reduce and help to mitigate forest fire risk for our communities, you know, both through mechanical as well as the prescribed fire. I mean, this is really amazing and very, very impressive. And I know this was a tremendous commitment from the Forest Service and from the county to get this done. And I just want to thank you. And I really hope the public understands the extensive forest restoration work that's been done. So thank you so much.
Sure, my pleasure. And do want to point out like those important projects immediately southwest of the peaks, like LaRue and Wing East and Hawk, would not be completed as quickly as they are without the support of the county and the flood control district. It's the funding piece, and also Jay Smith and Joe Hins' support on the ground is critical.
Absolutely.
And really done a lot for it.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Room, Matt. I know. All right. Good evening. Chairperson Horstman, Vice Chair Vasquez, and Supervisor Ontiveros and Supervisor Fowler. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. It was briefly introduced, but my name is True Brown. I'm the Fire Staff Officer or Fire Chief for the Coconino National Forest. And just want to start with a few things. To Tim's opening comments about the partnerships that we see across Northern Arizona, that's what, and I don't want to speak for all the cooperators and partners, but fire doesn't know jurisdictional boundaries, and that is the way that we approach response and planning across Northern Arizona and Coconino County. And I will say that that's the approach we take on the forest moving forward. So just a little bit about our program, and I want to tag off some of Matt's comments in terms of the planning efforts. And on the forest, we've developed a 10-year strategic plan to treat really all the timbered acres across the Coconino National Forest, either through mechanical means and then prescribed fire, to really have a comprehensive protection of the values at risk, including infrastructure, watersheds, private property, and really it is a long-term strategic plan to reduce the risk of uncharacteristic wildfire across the Coconino. So just wanted to start with that, but wanted to just hit a few things about our organization here on the Coconino National Forest. So we have 3 districts, and we have one of the largest fire organizations across the southwestern area, excuse me, including when we were fully staffed, which we are sitting at about 99% staffing right now. We have 218 personnel in the fire organization, and that is solely the fire organization. That does not include the additional folks that help to support the greater effort in terms of that militia workforce that calls or that responds when the fire bell rings to help support both prescribed fire and suppression efforts across the forest. We have 7 stations, including 12 fully staffed engines, 3 hotshot crews, 3 fuels crews, 2 fire exclusive dozers, along with an engineering dozer, 2 water tenders, and then 8 staff lookout towers. And I won't even mention the Pano AI system that APS has. I don't want to steal much of Jay's thunder, but a little bit, because it is such a useful tool for us. But the Pano AI system that's installed really across northern Arizona, well, actually the entire state, in terms of rapid detection and situational awareness building for fire responders. Additionally, the benefit that it brings to smoke monitoring for prescribed fire efforts as we're implementing them, and then the impacts that that would have to roadways and the public. So we, at the same time too, and I'll get into it a little bit more, when we do get into higher fire danger across the forest and northern Arizona, we work with our partners and cooperators to bring in additional resources to help that response effort that we will need, recognizing that even with one of the largest fire organizations in the Southwest, we need help. And we will bring in additional resources, including aviation, i.e. Heavy helicopters, light helicopters, aerial intelligence platforms, along with additional engines and hotshot crews and hand crews as needed, along with additional dozers if it comes to that, to have on forest ready to respond. And we work with our partners and cooperators to make sure that those resources are available to work on wherever the need arises, not only on the Coconino. So we do have a lot of resources at our disposal. I want to just touch on a few things and maybe speak to your initial question to Megan earlier, Chairman Horstman. The current conditions and the fuels that really get driven by those weather changes that Megan spoke to, those long-term outlooks, and you are spot on in recognizing that we may be sitting really high in our water year, if you will, in terms of those levels and that reduction in the drought, but the devil's in the details. And with the heating that we've had throughout the year, especially moving into the spring and we get into that windy season, that really drives a lot of our fire danger in regards to where we are sitting. And right now, we have had a few storms that have rolled through, but we're kind of in a situation where we don't have that snowpack that's been sitting on the fuels all winter and has been soaking in. So we were at a point just a couple of weeks ago where we were into high fire danger really across northern Arizona. These last few storms have helped mitigate some of that risk, but we are still not where we should be when it comes to snowpack moisture across the western U.S. And I say that, bringing that up, because the one thing to note is the southwestern area typically comes into fire season first, along with kind of some of the southern states. But what we're seeing right now, and one of the things that we're tracking, is there are lots of other geographic areas that may come into fire season here sooner rather than later. And the draw on resources nationally is something that we're monitoring very closely. And we stay in coordination with both local, regional, and national coordination to make sure we have enough resources that we feel we're ready to adequately respond to fires. So I hope that helped to answer your question there. But moving into one of the other tools that we utilize to minimize the risk of unwanted fires are fire restrictions. And again, this is a coordinated effort across northern Arizona. We have already started our restrictions meetings here in northern Arizona. And some of the indicators that we look at are up on the board, but those basically science-based metrics are driven largely by the weather and how the moisture comes in and our current climatic conditions. Some respond very rapidly, others take much longer to respond to, but we monitor those overall trends and really factor in that as we come into discussions about what restrictions are going to be looking like. We have those 3 levels in terms of stage 1, stage 2, and stage 3, with stage 1 being very simple, campfires only allowed in developed sites. Stage 2, we have no campfires And then we go into what's commonly referred to as hoot owl restrictions, where we limit usage of chainsaws, other heavy equipment in and around forested areas. And this is coordinated really across the county to make sure that there is general understanding with the public. And then we finally have stage 3, which is forest closures or area closures around the forest. The one thing to note that in stage 2 restrictions, we do utilize non-motorized use areas in and around some key areas on the Coconino National Forest. We have 3 of those areas, one around the peaks, one around Pump House Wash, so the 237 just below Kachina as you're coming up out of Sedona off of 89, and then the third is the Walnut Canyon area between Walnut Canyon and Forest Highway 3 or Lake Mary Road. And those are done to help reduce the risk of unwanted fires in those areas, human-caused fires. And those go to a study, and I'll get into it here in just a little bit, where we dove into some of the details and determined that most of the fires in those areas, human-caused, were within 300 feet of some of the roadways in those areas. And it's been really effective, and I'll get into that just a little bit. We also have some year-round camping and campfire closures in and around the Flagstaff area just due to some of the issues that we were having in terms of unwanted fires in those areas and also the response and the threat to the values at risk in and around those areas. Here's a quick summary over, roughly the past 25 years of what our restriction history has been, i.e. stage 1 being the green, stage 2 being the yellow, and stage 3, the red, the closures or area closures, and then some of our significant fire events that we've had during those restrictions. So we can dive into it a little bit, but you can see there are some pretty significant events in there, including the museum fire, the tunnel fire, the pipeline fire, the tinder fire down on the Mogollon Rim Ranger District. But the past couple of years, we've been really effective with 1, our restrictions, but then 2, our response to fires as well. And I would say that this is in large part due to a lot of the proactive efforts we've had in terms of fuels mitigation, both on the mechanical side and then the prescribed fire side in terms of minimizing that risk and allowing us the opportunity to successfully respond to these unwanted fires. Bless you. Just a quick chart showing, and this one actually goes back to, I believe, 1970, and it's a representation of human and lightning-caused fires across the Coconino National Forest. And it really helps to tell the tale in terms of how effective we've been with, our prevention and education efforts that Matt spoke to as well, and the reduction of that. I would say the forest is also looking at, and there was great coordination last year with the fire prevention education team that we brought in for the Northern Arizona zone. We are going to bring in another team again, beginning of May for the Coconino National Forest to help just spread the word about current fire restrictions and just education across the board. It is interesting to note, though, how we've seen just a general reduction in the amount of lightning-caused fires across the forest, too, particularly since the early 2000s and just the drop-off there. But overall trend lines are good. And then finally, kind of want to touch on a few things, as I mentioned, with the non-motorized use areas. And this was some of the data that we used to develop. And it's really a unique an innovative product, or not product, but what was a pilot program, but now we're continuing to move forward with it with these stage 2 non-motorized use areas. And just when we identified these really high value areas that we just do not have the ability potentially, or particularly under high fire danger conditions, to really suppress a fire very effectively, we ran the data and pulled numbers demonstrating that the vast majority of human-caused fires were within 300 feet of a roadway. So this led us to try an innovative technique of utilizing non-motorized use areas, allowing for recreation to still occur during stage 2 in these areas, because these are some of the areas that we all love to recreate in and some of the reasons that we all love to call Northern Arizona home. And it has been fairly well received. to in both the three areas, including the San Francisco Peaks, the Pump House Wash area, and the Walnut Canyon area. I will say preliminary data has shown in the Peaks non-motorized use area during stage 2, we saw roughly a 600% reduction in human caused starts in that area during, the rollout of this this effort. So that really kind of concludes the fire management side of the presentation, but just wanted to leave some time, or Matt, if I missed anything, and see if there are any questions.
Colleagues, any questions? First and foremost, incredible 600% reduction. I know when this was originally rolled out, there was a lot of controversy with regards to it, but the reason I think that it was mostly supported in the community was for the reduction of wildfire risk, and 600% reduction, that's pretty successful. So that's wonderful news. So any other comments, questions? Supervisor Vasquez.
Yes, thank you for the presentation and all the hard work to make sure our forests are clean, per se, to make sure that it reduces fire threat. And, just really excited to see that we've had the thinning in the areas that we've had, and that the reduction in fuels has kept up pace. I know that a couple years ago, after the pipeline tunnel fires, we started talking about the west side of the Peaks, and it felt a little overwhelming and kind of catastrophic if something would happen there. And so it's good to see that progress has been made. I mean, it's still a danger there. All it takes is one person doing something careless in that area to cause a fire. But it's good to see that the fuels have been reduced and we're making progress. So look forward to seeing future progress, and thank you for your great partnership. Thank you.
Just one comment I'd like to make about that in terms of progress, and I know Chair Horstman, you'll be excited to hear that the LaRue project that the Flood Control District is funding is going to be going out for contracting tomorrow or Thursday. And so we're making great progress on that. And then another priority area, the Kachina Pump House Wash, we're partnering with the state and a large project there between 89 and the 17. Basically, all of Pump House Wash will be going out for contracting in about a month or 6 weeks. So all of these high-risk areas are in the last year or coming up online really soon. Really excited about that.
Thank you. Excellent news. All right. I guess we're moving forward. So thank you so much. Thank you for being here.
And as Jay comes up from APS, I just would add one thing, that, with our partnerships, we could spend days up here meeting with all of our partners. One of the things I did want to mention as well is, we have another very large national forest in the county, the Kaibab National Forest over in your district and up in District 5, that had a lot of impacts from wildfire this past year. I'll say in working with them and the numbers that we've seen from them, the conditions are very similar to what we were seeing on the Coconino. So those are kind of regional level. But working with them, especially through like the long-term recovery plan, where we really started talking about what can we do for those smoke impacts, how can we help the communities with that. So working with some of those action items and working with those 3 task forces through that is also a key initiative moving forward.
Thank you. And by the way, that's exactly right. The long-term recovery plan for Grand Canyon, both the North Rim and, of course, even the South Rim, has to include as part of it funding for forest restoration and thinning. Probably the Kaibab, we've been working on the Coconino for that for some time now, but Kaibab, has not been the case. So I really appreciate your work in that long-term recovery plan, that is an integral part of it. So thank you for that.
It absolutely is. And that's what that Natural and Cultural Resources Task Force led by Jay will really be focusing on. That's one of the big pieces of that. So,
all right, we have APS.
Okay.
Thanks, Tim. Madam Chair and members of the board, thanks for having me tonight. My name is Jay Nielsen. This mic's really low. Push it up. There we go. My name is Jay Nielsen. I'm a fire mitigation specialist at APS. I just want to highlight all those partnerships that we've been talking about and how important they are to APS as a company. We can't be successful with what we do without those partnerships with the fire agencies and everything going on in this crisis of wildfire. As a company, we've had a wildfire mitigation program for over a decade now. It has quickly evolved with the changing of the times, and we've added so much to it, and I'm here tonight to highlight some of those things. First off, I want to touch on APS as a whole. It is the largest utility in the state. We have 6,000 transmission miles, 32,000 distribution line miles, 1,500 feeders, 1.4 million meters serviced, and 8,600 megawatts of peak load when we get into summer. And out of all that, 19% of our power line system is in high fire risk areas. So we have a comprehensive and multifaceted approach to wildfire mitigation. Starting on the left there, this slide really showcases everything that we're doing within the program. But starting on the left, vegetation management, we have a very robust vegetation management program. Starts with our forestry division. They're going and clearing the right-of-ways, making sure vegetation isn't grown into those lines, and really making sure that the clearances are there to mitigate against fire. We also have a defensible space around poles program, where it's that pole clearing, removing of the vegetation, that 10-foot radius around the poles that really creates that defensible space from the wildland around the pole itself. And then if the pole were to, equipment on the pole were to spark, it would hopefully reduce any fire start or any spread beyond that incipient stage. Lastly, we have a hazard tree program associated with our veg management. And this is where we look outside of those right-of-ways of our power lines, and we look for the hazardous trees that are dead, they're dying, maybe they're fire damaged, and we get those cut down and mitigated as quickly and as efficiently as we can to prevent something from happening and those trees falling into the lines themselves. And I'll quickly move across the rest of these here. They're grid hardening investments, so we're constantly upgrading our system with fusing and the pole wrapping, the mesh pole wrapping, and replacing those wooden poles with steel poles if we have the ability to do so and access. Asset inspection, we're annually inspecting our power lines across the system for any damages or anything along the power lines themselves, and we do that pre-fire season patrols for that. We also have drones that help with that process. Monitoring and awareness, this is what True was talking about, where we've put a lot of money into cameras and weather stations across our system and helped put up the Pano AI cameras, the artificial intelligence cameras that help detect the smoke. Those are sitting on cell towers and other high points, and those will find any abnormalities in the landscape it's viewing, and it picks up smoke, and it'll notify these fire agencies like the Forest Service, so we can get resources responding as quickly as possible. And then lastly, the operational mitigations. This is where we can adjust our system as we move into those elevated fire conditions. Non-reclose strategy is one of them. We also have red flag warning protocols where we will adjust work and during red flag alerts. And then also lastly, the public safety power shutoff, which we'll touch on in the next few slides here. So public safety power shutoff, otherwise known as PSPS, it is a tool that we have at APS. It's kind of the last resort type of tool that we will use, but it's for those extreme fire risk conditions. So that extremely high wind, dry conditions with the low relative humidity, the risk of rapid fire spread. And this will be targeted towards areas where our team of meteorologists at APS see the highest likelihood of these events happening. So we're not going to target entire areas, but really focus it in on the areas that will be truly impacted. by these extreme weather events. And when we do turn off the power, these outages, they'll last through the wind event, and they also have to last through us being able to go out with our line crews and patrol everything to make sure nothing happened to the system. Our biggest concern is something blowing into the power lines themselves, not so much our power lines being impacted by the weather event, but things happen, things blow around when the winds increase. We've seen trampolines, we've seen sheds, we've seen trees, live trees tip over and hit the lines. So we just want to, during these really extreme events, we just want to make sure that the power lines won't be impacted and a fire won't start because of that. Communication for this, we've really built a robust communication plan for PSPS as a whole. As a company, we haven't done a PSPS event yet, and we're trying to make sure we got all the T's crossed, I's dotted. So if it does come around, we want to do it right the first time. We know that there will be lessons learned, but we're going to do our best and do it right the first time. So our meteorology team, they are constantly forecasting the weather. They'll, at 4 days out, that's when their confidence level gets starts to get higher for these forecasts of the wind events coming in. And that's when we'll start the communication process with the public and with our partners across the area that's going to be affected. And this communication process, it'll go throughout all the APS channels that people have signed up for on their accounts. So we ask that they update their account information with their phone numbers and emails, because we're going to send out text messages, emails. We're also going to get with media outlets, be all over the news. We're going to work with County Emergency Management. They're going to send out alerts through their alert system. We're going to get it on social media, and we're going to make sure that everybody is aware every single day leading up to the PSPS event. We're going to make sure they're aware of when we turn off the power, and we're going to make sure they're aware when the power comes back on. During this process, as we get more confidence in the forecast by our meteorology team, they'll be able to tell us kind of time frames for these events, and we'll be able to communicate those time frames to the public and kind of give estimated times of restoration and really lock down kind of communication in that regard for restoration times. So determining these areas, True hit on it, and with all the wildland urban interface around Coconino County, we've looked at all of our distribution lines that we've determined as PSPS, and we were able to put in switches and different things to isolate the areas that were truly the high-risk areas for wildfire. There were some nuances there where we had to pick certain places due to the way the system was built, but to the best of our ability, we're able to keep as many people on as we possibly can that are not in those high-risk areas. But we will, if an event were to occur, we would have to turn out the power to those folks that are in. That's where it kind of gets a little tricky with overhead wire and underground wire. Some of our overhead wire runs out and then it goes underground, dips underground, and those underground folks, they're still going to be impacted because what feeds them is the overhead wire. And we're going to definitely communicate that. And we have a web page now that's up and running on aps.com/PSPS. Our communications team worked really hard on this, making it as informative as possible. People can go on there and type in their address, and it'll tell them if they're on a PSPS line or not, or in a PSPS area or not. And the maps, I'm going to show you some maps tonight. Those are from our kind of testing phase of it, but the actual maps are up and running as of April 9th. So we're excited about that. Going to the maps here. So start out, zoomed out area, Greater Flagstaff. Primarily this year, all the feeders we added to PSPS, because we've had this for a few years now. All the ones we've added this year are in the city of Flagstaff area. Everything else is already part of PSPS. We were able to adjust some of the power lines that we previously had and built in new isolation points so we can make sure some folks are still kept on during these events. But right now, across the state, we have 124 PSPS feeders. So this is Greater Flagstaff area zoomed out. Zoomed in on City of Flagstaff, what we added. So these maps, like I said, folks go onto that website, they can type in their address and they can look at the affected areas. This is north on 89, north 180. And Pinedale, Forest Highlands, Kachina, Mountain Air, Munns Park, and South Oak Canyon areas. Lake Mary Road, Mormon Lake, Happy Jack, Blue Ridge, Forest Lakes, Tucson, Grand Canyon Valley, Belmont Parks, Pittman Valley, Red Lake, West I-40, Williams, Ashfork area. And I just want to conclude that this is a rare event. This is a tool in our toolbox, but all those facets that I showed you earlier, that's what we primarily focus on day in and day out. And I'm very proud of the program that APS has built. I joined APS 2 years ago. I worked at the Forest Service as a wildland firefighter, and when I came to APS, I was very blown away with what they built as a program and what they're doing fire mitigation wise. So is there any questions from you all?
First and foremost, appreciate the information that you're providing, and it sounds like the PSPS has been increased from last year. I know we had sat down and took a look at some of the maps last year, and I just want to thank you and encourage your continued, and APS has been a great partner on this, that we get the information out to the community. I know when we've done community meetings, you've been willing to come and be there and present, and I think that's really important to give the folks a heads up on this as a tool in your toolbox, as a last resort, and quite frankly, an important it's really important you're able to do this to reduce the wildfire risk. I mean, we've seen what's happened in some of the utilities, especially in California, and we really appreciate APS thinking about this, planning ahead, getting the maps together, getting a plan together in place when it's necessary. So thank you, and really appreciate your continued partnership on getting this information out to the public. So thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Yeah, and I'd like to add that we did send out mailers and other things as well. So it's going to be continuous communication going out to the customers from here on out.
Yeah. Appreciate that very much.
Thank you.
So, thanks for being here tonight. Any other comments, questions?
Madam Chair?
Yes, Supervisor Fowler.
Yes, thank you for your presentation. As the largest, I think it's the largest utility company in Arizona, in Coconino County, there are parts of the county that don't serve with they don't have APS as the electrical utility company. Do the utility companies all coordinate and work together?
Thank you for your question. So with utilities, we coordinate as best as we can. I think who you're talking about is mainly on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. Our communication with them, if they reach out and need to communicate with us, we will, but there's a big canyon in the way and we don't communicate with them. But with other utilities across the state, we do share substations and transmission lines and a lot of equipment with them. So we do heavily communicate with other utilities that affect us and we affect them. And we will continue to partner with them, especially if there is questions in regard to public safety power shutoffs and if what we're doing is going to impact them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Thanks again for being here. Really
Thank you.
appreciate your partnership.
Just the mic back down from Jay. All right, so now I want to kind of take a few minutes to go through and Chair Horstman really answer your opening comments of what is the county doing in terms of preparedness? How are we positioned for the upcoming wildfire season, which will kind of be the rest of the presentation. Really, I think it starts with what's the role of emergency management. And our mission statement there, you'll see it's, we'll provide a safer future through effective partnerships committed to saving lives, protecting property, reducing the impacts of disasters, and providing effective planning for special events. It's clear from the start that, our partnerships are critical to what we do. And you'll see there how we do that is in that graph there. Usually the mission areas and the cycles that emergency management operates in. We spend a lot of our time in that preparedness phase, that pre-disaster section, to make sure that our communities have what they need to be more resilient and prepared for when a disaster such as a wildfire strikes. Unfortunately, in this neck of the woods, it's not a matter of if, but when we have a fire. It will still be our top hazard identified for the region. So it's important that we work together to plan for those. So a couple of things. We'll start with mitigation, and it kind of goes hand in hand with that preparedness of what can we do to lessen the impacts of a disaster across our communities. And what you see there is an image of our county hazard mitigation plan. That plan is an all hazards plan that right now identifies the top 10 natural hazards across the county and all of our municipalities. And again, it's no surprise that wildfire remains our top hazard in the area. So this plan is multifaceted, that it helps us identify through historical data, community input, and engagement what those hazards are, helps identify how, quote unquote, bad those hazards can be, and then lets each jurisdiction set those mitigation strategies and goals for how we can reduce those. A prime example is just what we've been talking about tonight, working with our federal partners and really for the county standpoint through Jay's leadership at Forest Restoration, those wildfire forest restoration initiatives to reduce that fire risk in our communities. The plan is currently under review. The final draft is actually going to go out this week to the planning team for the 2026 update. And then that should be going out to the public for public comment and review for the month of May. So really want to encourage the public. You'll be seeing press releases coming out from the county with links to where they can review that final draft. We really want the public's input on that. So the month of May is going to be that public review and comment period for us. That'll allow us to then take those comments and feedback and to get it on the calendar, to bring it back before the board for discussion and possible adoption on June 23rd. And so the way that overlaps, just FYI, the current plan expires in July. So by adopting it before your break will allow us to have a valid hazard mitigation plan. I do think it's also worth noting that there are other plans specifically related to wildfire going on. Jay has been working instrumental with the forest partnerships in regional areas for a 2026, and Jay, correct me if I get the title wrong, the Community Wildfire Protection Plan for Rural Fire Districts and Tribal Communities in Coconino County. All right. Whew. I passed the test. So while the county's hazard mitigation plan is an all hazards, identifying multiple hazards, the CWPPs really they really work in concert with the county's hazard mitigation plan. Since it is focused on wildfire preparedness, it goes deeper into that specific hazard. really integrates that specific data sets related to wildfire. That is open for public comment right now. I believe that closes on the 17th, closes Friday. So still time for the county or for our residents to go in and take a look at that and give us our feedback on
And
it.
then go on the website and find that.
And in addition to that, I also want to make, and I was glad to see Chief Gaylord here from the city of Flagstaff. The city's CWPP is also currently being prepared and will work to, all of our plans work to really support each other. So I know that one is a little bit kind of behind on a schedule, a little bit behind on this one, and currently in draft. I appreciate them for allowing county emergency management and county staff to have a voice on that planning team and really see the great work that they're doing there. So as I mentioned a little while ago, that there really is no way to list and express all of the partners that we work with. This is just a few specifically for our forest restoration partnerships. One that I'll call out that's not listed, and Supervisor Ontiveros and I had the opportunity Saturday to go down to all the way down to Forest Lakes and meet with Chief Rodriguez and a good number of the community down there as they start their progress towards being a Firewise community and really embracing the Firewise program as a community down there. And they also took the time to sit down and review the county's CWPP draft and have some good discussions as a community down there on that, which is really, in addition to the partnerships that we work with a lot of jurisdictionals, the biggest partnership we have is with our community members. They're the ones that doing the work in their yards to make sure that we're safe. So had a really good trip down there to meet with them and really excited to see what Forest Lakes does. Also, kind of in the preparedness realm, one of the big things that emergency management will do is, we're the custodian of the county's emergency operations plan. That is the guiding document, the roles and responsibilities document that the county relies on to really guide what our response will be in times of disaster. To supplement that, another more in-depth is our Department Operations and Procedures Manual. That actually goes down to the checklist level to where we're able to kind of interchange staff as needed for prolonged events to really give us the opportunity to make sure we're having a consistent, unified approach to disaster response. And then I would say another preparedness piece that I wanted to highlight, and I know we've mentioned it before, but this, our evacuation maps and the evacuation zone project that we created in 2023 in a huge partnership with the Sheriff's Office and lessons learned from wildfire evacuations. In days past, we would get phone calls in trying to figure out what forest road was the northern boundary and then what highway was the southern boundary, and really how to define those evacuation zone areas or what area needed to be evacuated. We learned after the tunnel fire, we needed a way to identify things that were much more efficient and much quicker. So sitting down with Sheriff Axel and his staff, we developed an evacuation map, interactive map, very much like APS's map that you can go in, put in your address, and it will tell you exactly what zone you're in. So now we can message out, you're in Belmont 107 instead of trying to get down to the street level name. So we'll have links to that here in just a few minutes for folks to write that down and make sure that they're going to. But we really encourage everyone to know their evacuation. Another service that emergency management provides, and this is honestly probably one of my favorite, is we're able to get out and provide a lot of training and exercise for multi-jurisdictional, all hazards training to a lot of our first responders and stakeholders. How are we going to work together across jurisdictional boundaries to really ensure that we're providing safe response and the most efficient response as possible. So that's expanded into a lot of our municipalities. We're working with our outlying jurisdictions to get additional trainings lined up. recently, we have that photo that you see in the top. We did a wildfire tabletop exercise for the town of Tucson, which we had Forest Service and National Park Service partners come in for that in case, and some of our concessionaires and hotel owners there, that if we had to evacuate Tucson, what does that look like? What are their procedures? The photo down below is from the 4th Annual Joint Information Center exercise. That was in Sedona a few weeks back. We were able to bring together all of our public information officers that worked together in the Emergency Operations Center, gave them a scenario of some flooding down in Oak Creek, and really allowed them to work through what that messaging is, how they get information from the community back to the Emergency Operations Center, and then how the Emergency Operations Center is able to disseminate effective messaging out to the community. And then just another real quick highlight, we do our monthly RAVE training. So RAVE is the vendor we use for the county's emergency notification system. We do in-house proficiency drills with that to make sure that we're ready to send messages whenever the sheriff or our other law enforcement partners call us for that. And just confirmed the other day, I will say we worked with the Grand Canyon National Park. They want to take something similar to the Tucson exercise and work the same thing for the South Rim. So we're going to meet with the National Park and their concessionaires and talk through some emergency scenarios with them. So really excited for that partnership. A little more partner engagement. You know, one of the things that you've heard us say before and that you'll see in the emergency operations plan is a one county response. You know, when the county has a bad day, this organization comes together like none I've ever seen to really step up and support. You know, we'll have our elections team will step up and operate the call center. We'll have Public Works will come out and assist both in the EOC and out in the field. You know, we'll have staff from all of the county departments will kind of put their day jobs on pause for a little bit and come together to really help make sure that we're providing the services we need to our communities. Other preparedness projects that we're working on, the Sedona Siren Project. We are still on track for that equipment arriving in town in May, hoping to have that installed by the end of May. That was funding through one of our CDS awards. Those are going to be 3 siren locations through Uptown Sedona that are really going to help provide advance notice to the visiting community down there. You heard Jay mention PSPS from the APS side. The county is a dedicated partner in that in a few different ways. One, as he mentioned, we're going to help get their message out to the community. We have decided collectively that I would rather a resident get a notice from both APS and the county that we're going to potentially have a PSPS event than not get information at all. So it makes sense from a public safety standpoint that we can help them push out their message. And also, that's going to allow us to work with other partners like the American Red Cross and the City of Flagstaff through some of their resilience hubs at Market of Dreams, Murdoch Center, and other places that may be impacted to see, do we need to set up emergency sheltering through PSPS, or do we need to set up cooling stations or water ice drop-off locations, things like that. So, you know, we're going to partner with them to make sure that we're all taking care of our residents. Some of the other preparedness things we have as a county, obviously our fire restrictions, the Wildfire Defense Ordinance. We have updated the ordinance as of 2024. So we've gone through a couple of fire seasons now under the new ordinance. And some of the changes that we made in there really seem to be effective for us. We have changed, for example, in stage 1, it really incentivizes that defensible space. And, you know, working with our fire districts, the fire departments, and the sheriff's department to create an ordinance that is as easy to understand as possible while being, you know, easily enforceable as possible. But really the goal of being gaining compliance. So, you know, working with our fire partners. For example, in stage 1, if you want to have a wood burning campfire in a designated spot in your, you can. You need to clean the area within a certain distance of any combustible materials, making sure we have that defensible space around there. You see the website there. I won't go into belabor the restrictions, but the full ordinance is on our website, as is some frequently asked questions and the process if someone needs to request a variance for anything that may be currently prohibited under the ordinance. If there is a valid need for that, you can submit that form or contact our office and we'll review that. But I think one of the big things, and True mentioned this earlier with the fire restrictions and how they're determined what our stages are. I'll say this is probably one of the big examples of partnerships in the region. The Forest Service has the expertise and the science and the knowledge to really help factor in what are the conditions. It's no more of just us going outside looking up and going, looks like a stage 1 day to me. So being able to use science and actionable information to make sure that for the county, we're making informed decisions for fire restrictions on private parcels, but also making sure that we are coordinated in those decisions. One thing that we don't want is to see, a campfire allowed in the national forest, but the resident who lives just on the other side of the forest boundary is under restrictions and can't. There's some equity issues there that we want to make sure that we're implementing these smartly and effectively. Another one, a lot of our time for preparedness, you'll see, is we're very involved in community engagement. That, for our department, is really focused on that individual and family level preparedness. We've kind of seen that if we're able to go out into the community and we're able to work with you and your family on your specific plan and give you some information you need for how you can be best prepared, then that equates to lessening the impact of 911 calls or lessening the impact of public safety having to divert their attention to a specific house, a specific family, which allows them to focus more on community level or incident level response. So the better prepared we are as individuals, the better response that we will all have as a community. So we do that by usually attending several dozen outreach events usually every spring. This is our busy time of the year. I think we're kind of stacked on the calendar every week and weekend from kind of now until Memorial Day. Allows us the opportunity to get out and meet with the communities and really hear from them what their needs are, and allows us to help guide them in preparedness. We also encourage them. One of our staples, if you've ever seen us out at community events, we're always encouraging folks to sign up for the emergency notification system. And we never miss an opportunity to throw in a plug for that, so why start now? So if you haven't signed up for that, please do so. Give our office a call. We can help. This is your most effective way of receiving emergency notification quickly, timely, to make sure that you and your family can take appropriate action. Very quickly, the next couple of slides are really more of a call to the public. What we really need folks to do: sign up for emergency notifications, know your evacuation zone, make that plan for your family should you have to evacuate, build a go kit. What do you need to take with you if you have to evacuate? What's going to go in the car? Knowing that you may not have a lot of time to pack things when you do have a disaster, so make sure that you have a plan now. If you'll go to our website or give our office a call, we will happily help you through a lot of that information and really make sure that you can be as prepared as possible. Also going to throw out a real quick plug to our local fire districts and fire department. They're the experts on defensible space, but really making sure that we're protecting our homes. We've had a lot of high-level discussions before the board for what are insurance rates because of wildfire risk. How can we keep our costs down? I think as homeowners, all that comes down to making sure we're doing everything we can to be as safe as we can around our community. So taking a look at your yard, finding out what debris is available, it could be around that's flammable, what could be used to introduce fire into your home, and really making sure that you're getting that out of the way. If you have questions on what that is, please reach out to your fire district or fire department. They have all said they are more than happy to come out and help. I know that, especially Flagstaff Fire Departments, the Wildland Fire Management Program has been great with that. I've had a chance to chat with a lot of those guys about that. So please reach out to them or National Fire Protection Association. So when a bad day does happen, what are we going to do? And that usually will start with calls from our stakeholders of what's going on. If a situation warrants, the Emergency Management Department will activate the Emergency Operations Center, or we will elevate that. So on a daily basis, County EM staff does staff the Emergency Operations Center, Command and General Staff positions on a daily basis. That allows us to respond in a timely manner whenever things do kind of take a turn for the worse. If an incident does grow in size and scale and we need to bring in additional staff from around the county or around the region, we can expand that physical footprint and actually expand that virtual footprint to make sure we have enough staff and personnel on board to provide the services to our first responders to make sure we're providing them the support that they need. Some of that support is often coordinated in our ancillary services. A lot of times in a wildfire, we'll see while the fire crews, or as they say, put it in the wet stuff on the red stuff, and they issue evacuation orders. Where do those people go? How do we care for them? What are the other things that we need? So we'll stand up the emergency sheltering. We'll work with Health and Human Services for community assistance centers and make sure we're providing those wraparound services during those times of disaster. We also have the benefit of leveraging some federal funds to increase some equipment, knowing that the EOC is typically housed here in Flagstaff, but there's a lot bigger county out there than just the city flag. So we have, as you guys have toured recently, our mobile incident command trailer. We have command vehicles, UTV, drone technology. These really allow us to assist those first responders, incident management teams, especially in those remote areas, to really make sure they have an effective and efficient response capabilities. And I wanted to turn it over to Sheriff Axland as we kind of talk about some of the law enforcement considerations and what do evacuations really mean for the region.
All right, thank you, Tim. Good evening to everyone here. I'll try to burn through these next 2 slides. That's the only fire joke for tonight. As far as
It's getting late. You can see that there was no, come on, that was a joke. Come on.
gotta keep the fire chief in the back of the room awake here. Okay. Sarah. Okay. So as far as law enforcement considerations go during a wildfire, the law enforcement of primary jurisdiction has 4 tasks during that incident. The first one, obviously, is the evacuation of the area. Once the residents are evacuated in the area, we're responsible for the security then of the area, traffic control during that time period, and then the decision for reentry. As far as the initial evacuation goes, like Tim said before, we lean heavily on emergency management for the use of the RAVE notification system, the county's emergency notification system, and if needed, we'll ask him to help us use the IPAWS, which is the reverse 911 system for notification. As far as the decision for evacuation, we certainly lean heavily on fire resources for notifying us of the direction of the fire, how serious it is, where it's going to go, how fast it's going to get there, because they're the fire experts. They know where it's going to go, so they know what kinds of areas we need to evacuate and how quickly we need to do that. Once that area is evacuated, like I said before, we're in charge of the security of the evacuated area. This can be a huge burden on the law enforcement resources because the areas like we saw in the tunnel fire could be fairly large with hundreds and hundreds of homes in the area. For example, in the tunnel fire, we had to lean on not just our agency, but all the local agencies, DPS, Flagstaff Police Department. We had to go outside and use squads from the Navajo Sheriff's Office, Mojave, and Yavapai as well. So very good partnerships there that we've been talking about all night long. We also do traffic control. A lot of the agencies helped us out, like during the tunnel fire with DPS and our local Flagstaff Police Department. But a big part of the traffic control for us was using squads, using deputies to escort people back to their homes. A lot of times when they are evacuated from their homes, they don't take everything that they need with them, or they have to get medications if it's an extended period of time. So what we will do is escort those people back to their homes safely and then get them back out of the area. And then finally, reentry is the final responsibility there. So what we try to do is get people back into their homes as quickly as reasonably possible. What we do know is that once we do evacuate them and bring them back, we're not going to be able to re-evacuate them successfully. So we want to make sure we bring them back when it's safe to bring them back, and we are fairly certain that we're not going to have to re-evacuate them. All right. Race Up Go program, as everybody knows, this was a program adopted several years ago by all 15 sheriffs in the state of Arizona. It is a three-step initiative for wildland fire preparation for residents. The 3 stages are ready, which is basically the prepare now stage. It is, like Tim talked about before, to create that defensible space around the home, to make sure everybody has emergency go kits for a 72-hour period, the registration of the emergency local notification systems, and then also the important part of that is to make sure that the family has a good evacuation plan. One of the misnomers of this stage in the program is that people sometimes expect that we will put out the message of being in the ready state, when in actuality, people need to be in the ready state now, right? So that the first notification they're going to get as far as the evacuation process goes will be the set. So set is to be alert, to be aware once that set message comes out, to pay attention to the local media, the local resources, make sure that that notification system is up and running. We'd like people to consider relocating if they have either medical needs that will require extra time to evacuate, or large animals that need to be evacuated. That's a great time for them to just leave. And then finally, the last stage obviously is the go, which is the evacuation notice. That comes if there's immediate and imminent threat of physical danger. That is all I have, unless there are questions.
Any questions? We've gone through this drill before, unfortunately. So, we understand the complexities with trying to get an evacuation, and quite frankly, it's an education process for our community. So
it is, and we learn things every time we do this. But what I will say is that Tim and his group with emergency management is extremely efficient when it comes to those notifications. We had many phone calls during the tunnel fire, which required quick response, which were unbelievably important to us. So thank you.
thank you, and thank you for being with us tonight.
And Madam Chair, I would add, just for the community, we have, through our outreach programs, we have a lot of materials for Ready, Set, Go. So if there's a school or a business or anyone that would like some of that, let us know. If you want to help us get that out in the communities, give us a call or email us. We're happy to help distribute that.
There's going to be a lot of celebrations coming this summer, and I'm assuming that all of this Ready, Set, Go material, et cetera, will be available and put out on the county tables. So
Absolutely.
really important to get the information. And I think most members of the public have got it, but I think it's always great to remind them. So
Absolutely. And, as we're getting late on time, I will just say very quickly on recovery, we know that there will be a bad day of some type in the future. That's just the nature of the world. So after that happens, what do we do next? So we are going to recover from that disaster, from that incident. And for us, recovery really starts when the disaster starts. We start planning for that now. And one of the lessons learned, as you see there from the Dragon Bravo White Sage Long-Term Recovery Plan, is how we can better implement that recovery process sooner to make a more efficient response. So we'll use the disaster recovery framework and work through whatever that disaster is for community input and a community-wide recovery for that. That's all we had. I will ask if there's any questions or discussions, and I did want to just kind of throw up some links right there, and we'll just leave those up if that's all right, for where folks can go to get information on the emergency notifications, the evacuation maps, and other services that we have.
And I want to thank you for the information and for all the folks that were here tonight and presenting very important information. And I know there's going to be some outreach and on what has been presented today, hopefully on the website, et cetera, because I think this is really important. And it got a little late. I'm sorry we couldn't have started earlier for this because I think this is really important and really important for our community to understand. So thank you for putting this together. Thank you for getting the partnerships and for everybody who participated tonight. Really appreciate this and look forward to getting the information out.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments, questions, members of the board? Yes, Supervisor Ontiveros.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And it's really just a comment, but as I look around the room and I see all of these faces here, I just want to thank everyone for being here this evening and for reminding us and, teaching us and informing us of what is going on. Madam Chair mentioned it. We've heard this many times before, but I don't know that we can hear it enough. And I know that I probably am going to be seeing a lot of you because I think all of my weekends are booked until Memorial Day as well. Really, yeah. Starting in Forest Lakes last weekend, yeah. So I'm glad that we have this information. There were just a couple of nuggets that I picked up even tonight in the presentation. I've heard it before, but a couple of nuggets. And so I'm glad that we keep repeating this. So thank everyone, really, as I look across here, thank all of you for being here and joining in this conversation. Appreciate it. And really appreciate the work that all of you do. Absolutely. And I think, I think that if I were to say what was the takeaway of this, every single individual that got up, the one thing I heard was partnerships are critical. And I think that was my takeaway is that you guys depend on one another. So thank you for all working together. And I know we're, as a board, I feel like I can say this, but we're part of the team too and are here to support all of you in this.
And Supervisor Ontiveros, if I can, I'll just say that, and I can probably speak for most of the presenters, we've been to incidents in other places other than here. And I can tell you that I am extremely fortunate for the relationships and partnerships and friendships that we have, some out of necessity. But the way that the regional team comes together to work is not seen everywhere. So it's something that the community should be proud of.
I'm proud of and expecting. We have
Absolutely.
created a certain level of response and a certain level of, quite frankly, partnership that is expected by our communities. So thank you for that. So Supervisor Vasquez.
Yes, thank you for the presentation and thank all the presenters tonight for giving us this really important information. And besides what was obvious, which is all the partnership happening, I just want to commend your office and county staff and the partnerships for growing into the level of partnership where we're at now. Because I think about where we were at 5 years ago when I started on the board to where we're at now, and it's pretty impressive. And there are a lot of things that we had goals back then of bringing together and putting some things together, and we're now seeing those come together, and we're seeing those partnerships strengthened in ways that weren't there 5 years ago. And so I just want to commend everybody and thank everybody for this hard work, because as we know, when there's an emergency, if there's a fire, if there's a flood, these are the partnerships that are going to get through our community through those emergencies. And so it's so important that we're ready. So thank you.
Thank you. Supervisor Fowler.
Yes, I'm not there to say hi to everyone, but I want to thank you all for joining us, and you're always with us when events happen, and the weather service is there and all of the partners, so I just want to thank all of you. But in the future, well, I want to just go back. This has taken years to develop. It sounds like it was already there. Supervisor Vasquez mentioned it, but this has taken years to develop to where we are today. And I just appreciate everyone working together and refining all those years and being able to develop a really strong partnership. And it's always being improved, and it really needs to stay on that course. In the future, though, I like to see all of the county presented, not just around Flagstaff or the greater Flagstaff area. We do have all of the counties where they're at risk in one way or another. I know fire is the main thing, but we need to include the North Rim reports, having Nicole come in as well. So I think we need to I would just suggest that. But I just really appreciate everyone's updates. So we've heard them many times, but we have to keep on listening to your presentations and all of the work that you're doing so that we can turn around and also share it with our communities. So really want to, again, just all I can say is thank you, like all my colleagues have. Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate that. So, good. I think that, and again, I look forward to seeing this and getting this information out. And I also want to emphasize the Board of Supervisors is definitely part of this partnership. And we appreciate all of your work on helping to make our community a healthier and safer place for everyone. So thank you. So with that, we have, it's getting closer to 9 o'clock. We've got a number of items on here, and promises. It's got to be very short, otherwise I'm going to cut this off. So
Government of, yeah.
thank you all for being here tonight. So I know it's getting late. So, and if you do not need to address the board anymore, I'd like to adjourn, so make it quick.
Yeah, I'll make really quick update. Just one thing I think that that I did want to make everyone aware of is that the Senator Kelly's staff has put forward the appropriations request for the 2.1 billion for the Grand Canyon recovery.
Yep.
Which is 210 million over 10 years with the Great American Outdoors Act. It's a little bit of work to get them to understand parts of that, and then we had some math things that we had to fix on our end, but we are at a point where they are going to put that forward to appropriations. So we hope that that's strongly considered. I think that's the main update. The only other kind of thing that I'd like to share is that we have submitted for the NACO Achievement Awards 5 projects, and I think they're all really good projects. It's the recovery plan that they outlined here. It's also the Justice Bus, the trying to think of the other, the Citizens Academy, and then pipeline fire stuff. And I think in the interest of time, that's all I have, so that we can adjourn soon.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And, a huge thank you to Senator Kelly. And we need to get some kind of letter off immediately and let him know how much we appreciate that. And a note, in light of Supervisor Fowler's comments, obviously Coconino County is a large place, and Grand Canyon is such a central part to it, central portion of that. And that bill, or that money that he is bringing forward, includes a amount for forest restoration for both the North and the South Rim. And I think that's absolutely essential. And Jay, you can probably wax eloquently on why that's so essential. So again, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Thanks for the update. All right. With that, unless there is an absolute urgent matter than anybody has, I would like to adjourn the board meeting. We're adjourned. Thank you all. Thank you for this.
Thank you.
Good meeting. You know, I didn't even ask for you. Did you notice? Good night, all.